Space, the final frontier. This is a review show for Star Trek The Next Generation. Its continuing mission to explore interesting plot points, to seek out goofs and continuity errors, to boldly go where no other TNG review show has gone before.
It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the TNG review show. Hi and welcome back to the TNG review show. Tonight we are consigning another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation into our vault. I'm joined tonight by my co-hosts Mazza McBob, Tavakins Turner and Chief Sean. I'm not exactly feeling myself tonight after being in some kind of transporter accident. I seem to have misplaced my beard. Anyway, it's on to the show.
Oh, what happened there? I'm back. I'm back, and I've got my beard. That's better. Good evening, everyone.
Now, why with the shock?
Oh my goodness! I'm glad you got that fixed.
I know that could have been an absolute disaster there for a moment. Yes.
The transporter accident version of you was cuter.
It was. That's kind of like a little impression of what I looked like when I was young. Sorry, I just got to mute you there, Tavi. I'm just getting too much feedback from you've got speakers on or something. I can't speak and hear myself coming back at myself. Echo. Yeah.
Causing?
Anyway, good evening, everyone. It is us. We're back. I've kind of already done the introductions in a way, so that's I'm all a little bit discombobulated. But how are you, Mazza McBob?
I'm good, thank you. No real excitement on my front, other than the fact that I've been doing lots of house viewings, which I guess is kind of exciting.
That is always very exciting. I do like a good house viewing. I do.
Saw one on Monday with a pool.
With a pool? My God. In Plymouth?
Yeah, in Powsland, we'd be like about 100 meters from you.
Oh, that is literally over my back garden type thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. I was like standing on top of the going, can we see Mark's house from here? But I couldn't see.
Actually, I think I know which house that is. Yeah. I keep an eye on these things.
You'll be delighted to come in summertime when everyone goes over to Auntie Maz's and you have the house to yourself.
I know. I already have party house here, and I'm like, I can have a full party house. That's like leveling up.
Still no wine cellar though.
No. Did I have a wine cellar? No. That's in my future. That is definitely in my future. Tavykins, how you doing, Tavy?
I am trying to figure out what's going on with my sound because you guys are echoing where I am. I'm hearing you from two different spaces, and I'm trying to figure out which speakers in my stereo system are you playing from?
And there's a slight delay there, so it's like a phone that's on a slightly different time or something, or is there a TV on in a different room or something?
It's the joys of Tavykins' wonderful laptop.
I'm on a PC this week.
Oh, you're on the PC. Oh, that's why you're looking so good. Chief Sean, how are you doing this week?
Evening, back at work this week, doing a bit. Training the new guy, such as life. You know, he had the official training where they taught him nothing he actually needed to know to do the job. And I was like, okay, so here's how you break the rules to actually do it properly. So having fun getting him up to speed.
And I say Chief Sean, but I think we should probably change your thing there to Cadet Sean this week.
Yeah, I'm a cadet this week, just for fun.
Yeah.
They sent me back to officer school.
I have
Yeah,
ordered.
Wookie did ask what you were wearing.
Oh, Wookie. Yes, he's a cadet. He is a cadet.
It's the season 2 Picard cadet uniform.
Yeah, that's why nobody knows what it is. It's season 2 of Picard, but nobody watched.
Do you remember when the Borg Queen just goes on a dance number for no particular reason? Oh, it was the best of Trek.
And then becomes a hippie Borg Queen and spreads roses and joysticks throughout the galaxy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was pretty bad. Well, I didn't buy it because I loved it. I bought it because it was reduced to from like €60 down to 25 for a full jumpsuit, and I was like, what the hell.
We're going to watch you gradually sweat during the evening because you're in a full jumpsuit.
It's not that warm here. It's only about 17 degrees or so, so we're all right. I mean, normally having a July where it rained every day would be horrific, but what's gone on continental Europe? I'm glad for it because we didn't have any 28 or 29 or 30 degree days. Just cool and comfortable. Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah. Are you able to do any lunges? Wookie wants to know. Wookie's asking.
Well, I could, but I probably wouldn't. It makes kind of cracking plastic polyester sounds when I do.
Do you want to give us a full look at your jumpsuit, or is that?
Oh, okay.
Do you want to give us a full?
No, you're all right. I think I'll keep that to myself. It's not flattering.
Oh.
Now Wookie wants to know if you're going commando under that skin tight jumpsuit.
No, not quite. No.
No, not quite. He's got a thong. He's got a thong on. Thong detected.
Something like that.
Good evening, everyone in live chat. Good evening to Wookie. Booyah. Good evening, sir. Ruth, how are you this evening? Let us know how you're doing. Yes, it was like Little Picard. It was Little Monty. Yes. Thanks to Alex, my son, for filming that this afternoon. I know he found it like total cringe having to do that and put himself on camera and watch it back to make sure it was right and everything. So I know that was a big cringe fest for him this afternoon. So
it was amazing.
Thanks to Alex for helping me put that together. Yes,
that was.
Yes. So thank you. Right. So this evening we are here to talk about the completely not cringe Rascals from season 6 of TNG. That's what we're going to be consigning to the vault this evening. Remember, if you are in live chat, if you could remember to click that like button. Hello, Smiler Rainbow as well.
There might be a little bit of cringe in it, just a little bit.
A little bit of cringe, yeah. That's my tongue was planted firmly in my cheek on the no cringe episode.
I'm surprised you didn't cut the thing off. It was so far over.
Yes. So remember to hit that like button and whatnots. We're at, I think it was last time I looked, we're at 491. So just 9 subscribers away from the big 500. If you know anyone that you think might like Star Trek The Next Generation or anything paranormal, then please point them in the direction of the channel. All helps, massively appreciated. And we all also have a sister channel on Rumble now, so all our content is going to go out weekly on Rumble. We're gradually add the backlog out to there. So if you want to head over to Rumble and give us a follow on that would be great as well. So, Rascals, episode 7 of season 6, production number 40276-233. It first aired in the US on the 2nd of November 1992. It was the 132nd to be produced and released. And interestingly, it's the 240th episode of Star Trek in total. 240. I mean, can you believe it?
Do you know where we're at now?
About 900, I reckon.
We're coming. We're not quite. Well, I know if we hit
891.
Say it, but it's definitely high 800s. Yeah.
I think
it's
about
800.
891.
I'd say it'd be 900. It'd probably be 900 by end of the year or something.
Yeah.
Or shortly after. Yeah.
Yeah, 900. So this is the 240th episode of around 900. It's just crazy to think that all those episodes of Star Trek now, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last 6 years have just been crazy, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
The only bad thing is I will never know Lower Decks or Picard or any of the new shows as well as I know as the 90s stuff, because I just won't rewatch it 40,000 times in the same way, you know. So some of the smaller details have just drifted out of my brain.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get that. Here is the. Here's the link to Rumble.
Yeah, Montague.
Oh,
okay. Just
Smiler Rainbow got it as well. Well done. Double links.
Hi, Mickey, and hi, Karen. We've got the Fortnite crowd in tonight as well.
That's nice. Playing Fortnite and watching us. That's
nice.
You missed Alex at the beginning. Oh, you missed young Monty. You missed young Monty opening the episode at the beginning. If you want to go back and watch the intro. It's quite funny.
I'm just going to say, just before we get into the episode, just a small bit of Trek news. Minor bit. We're still waiting on an announcement on Prodigy. But Lower Decks is coming to Paramount Plus in the UK and Ireland from the 29th of August. We all found our own way to watch it, but it's going to be comfortably, with the exception of Prodigy, all the Trek is going to be reunited. And the new season of Lower Decks is going on 7 of 9 day, 7th of September. So you've got between the 29th of August and the 7th of September, roughly 5 weeks to get through the 30 episodes. If you want to, if there anyone out there who hasn't seen Lower Decks, if you've seen all your 90s Trek, the amount of references, you're going to love it. So good news on that.
And it's currently on Prime, is it not?
No, it's on Amazon. Yeah, it's on Amazon. Sorry, yes.
Amazon Prime. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
For some reason, because I have Prime, but I don't have Paramount, so it's going from a platform I do have to one I don't.
It's about £60 for the year if you want to get it. So it's not expensive, and it has 50 episodes of Trek a year. So yeah, and plus all the old stuff.
And 7 of 9 days, Ruth's birthday, so that's perfect. She gets a birthday present from Paramount Plus.
Good stuff, Ruth.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yes, good evening, Karen. We'll be seeing you next week. Can't wait. And good evening, Mickey. I hope your holiday was fantastic. Yes, so the teleplay for this one, Rascals, was by Alison Hock. This is her one and only, one and done episode of Star Trek, but she wrote on lots of 1980s television programs like TJ Hooker and Miami Vice, LA Law, Blue Thunder, amongst others. You name it, she wrote a story for it. And the original story was by a father and daughter team of Ward Botsford and Diana Drew Botsford. Again, this is the only episodes of Star Trek they wrote, though Ward also directed Shatner in an audio version of Isaac Asimov's Foundation. And they wrote the story with Michael Piller, and this is Michael's last episode of TNG, his 14th of 14. So this is Michael Piller signing off.
I was just listening to the Delta Flyers podcast, the Voyager episode podcast with Tom and Harry actors, and they've come to the second last episode of Voyager. But anyway, just the second last episode is Renaissance Man, where the Doctor keeps transforming into different people using his holograms to con the crew into stealing the warp core, if you recall that one. The only reason I bring it up is I only found out from the podcast, the writers of that episode, the only other thing they did right was questions for Jeopardy. So they have one credit on Voyager and wrote questions for Jeopardy, and that was their entire career.
It's amazing.
I just thought that was the most random thing.
Yeah. This is directed by Adam Nimoy, the son of Spock, and it's his first of two director credits for TNG, the second one being Timescape. I read that he really wanted to direct more, and he wanted to direct Deep Space Nine episodes, but it never came to be for him. And that's it. Maz, you got anything else about the...
Well, yeah, just this story was bought by Michael Piller and Jerry Taylor during the 5th season, and then it was passed on to Ronald Moore for for developing. And Moore didn't like it at all. He was like, "What, adults turn into children? That's ridiculous." Kept trying to bury it. Eventually got saddled with the rewrite when the script came in. And he said, the professional in him committed to it, and he did the best he could. But the episode still makes him cringe.
Oh, it's well, we'll get
also,
to see
Jill
why.
Sherman Donner was credited as a co-writer of the third draft, but she was never credited in the actual episode. However, her rewrite did lead to her being a primary writer on Captive Pursuit in 1993. That's it.
I just remembered I haven't brought up the pictures. I'm just getting the picture.
Picky wikis.
Pictures, because we're about to go into the teaser.
Holodeck.
Yes. Okay, so we're starting off with the teaser. We got Ensign Ro, Keiko O'Brien, Guinan, and Picard are returning to the Enterprise after visiting the planet Marlonia. Picard is enthusing about some pottery fragments he found that are 700 years old. Guinan quips that so is her father. 700 years old, but Picard ignores her, telling the crew that they are 2nd century Marlonian cookware, but their inscriptions resemble early Tigurian, and the design closely resembles Barolian. He's basically boring them all to death with archaeology references. Guinan questions Picard that he went to the most beautiful planet in the quadrant, but spent all his shore leave in a cave, and Picard agrees that it was very rewarding. Keiko also brought back some plants. Okay, I'm going to get this name wrong. Drabidium calamus, that Ro misidentifies as Drabidium fructus, betraying the fact that despite her tough Bajoran warrior facade, she actually has an interest in plants. Worf contacts them, saying they've received a distress call from the Starfleet science team on Lygos 7. Then the shuttle hits some kind of energy barrier, and it causes everything in the shuttle to fail. O'Brien tries to beam them out, though he struggles to get a lock. Eventually he gets one, but finds there's a 40% loss of mass, so he might have lost one of them. But they all materialize safely on the transporter pad. And Picard thanks O'Brien for rescuing them, not a moment to, and as he's saying the words coming out of his mouth, he realizes that something is very wrong. And that's the end of the teaser.
I thought it was quite funny that O'Brien didn't look at all freaked out by the idea that maybe he lost one of a member that includes
May have been his wife. He's like, oh, I might have lost one.
And since
Because
when
he
would
didn't look
40%?
frazzled at all.
Since when would 40% loss of mass be one of those 4 people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been half
Well,
of
I
them.
mean,
It'd have to be the 2 smallest people, right?
Yeah,
Or maybe you only got half.
He doesn't say roughly 40%. He says 40. It's so round, you know.
It could have been worse. They could have all, like, just the torso halves of them could have, like, materialized on the transport pad.
You just got 60% of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a Tuvik situation.
Yeah. Oh, all one mass. Just 60% of them as one thing in the middle of the transport pad.
Ew.
Yeah, like in the motion picture, whatever we got, it didn't live for long.
It's a bit like The Fly, you know.
Oh, the
got questions,
original
Sean?
Fly. Oh, I do. But
Sorry.
just before I say that, I was going to say the original Fly with the little human head on the fly going, "Help me!" is the creepiest thing. Yeah, it even holds up today. Yeah, what planet were the shuttle crew visiting? A. Baronia, B. Tagua, C. Marlonia, D. Monrovia. And young Guinan, excuse me, I've hit the wrong button. Young Guinan, the actress that is, plays a younger version of Whoopi Goldberg in what film? Now, I will say in the film, a nun who's teaching her asks her to come up to a board and name the 4 apostles. And she goes, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. And he gives out a great laugh. And Max Grodenchik, who plays Rom in Deep Space Nine, also stars in that film. And it was came out in '92, the same year as this episode. So she played 2 different roles, where she played a young Whoopi in the same year. Okay, I may have overdone the clues there because everyone got that one right.
It's so unlike you, Sean, to just give the answers
a little bit given away.
I'm giving away the answers.
It's his style.
Oh, I forgot to answer the other one.
It gets us
so
more
excited by that.
more answers on the on the
More
Wheel of
interaction.
Misfortune.
Well, I tend to ask the asshole with the multiple choice because I know the wheel will generally, you know, break
Where's
the
my
difference.
wheel?
So
Wheel of Fortune. Anyway, I'll get on with the trips and stuff, shall I? So at this point in the future, archaeologists have been discovered from, well, actually no, even at this time in the present, archaeologists have been discouraged from taking things away from archaeological sites, and yet there's Picard in the future just taking what he wants, claiming that all this stuff was really, really old, and yet there's no repercussions. So that seems a little bit wrong. So they're also, what shuttlecraft are they on, Sean?
I
saw it
don't
last
question
week.
that Fermi, I think.
Yeah, we saw
It
it
is
last
Fermi.
week.
We were talking about the Fermi paradox.
You mentioned that last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Monty
Fermi,
did, yes.
the creator,
Actually, you
Enrico
mentioned-
Fermi.
He mentioned it on the Monty Zone as well, on Friday.
Have you got tea Earl Grey hot?
I do.
No, yeah, she's copying my mug game.
I've had this for like about 20 years, but yeah, I've got tea Earl Grey hot. I told you I got a special drink this week.
Ah. I've
I've
actually
got it
got
in my tea.
I've actually got
I
wine.
have my
I've
teapot.
got blood wine. I've actually
I
got
know, for a change. I've been not so good for getting wine lately.
Corona. I can't really see
Nice.
it.
I went to book up cash and carry and bought a couple of boxes.
Oh, nice. That'll keep you going for a little while.
Yeah.
What are you drinking,
So-
Sean?
Wine?
It is wine. It's a knockoff of that Seven Sins called the Reprobates. So, you know, in typical Aldi fashion, they call it something very similar to the original name, but not quite copying it.
Very cool.
So instead of wagon wheels, you get cartwheels and so on.
Yeah.
Very
instead of-
cool. Oh, and it was, what was it? I can't remember what it was. Not Colin the Caterpillar.
Oh, I
don't know
saw
what they
that the
called
other
him.
The
day.
cake.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Kevin the Creature or something. I can't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so who have we got on the? We got Tavi, we got Maz. Oh, we need Maz. We got Stuplum, and we got. I think that's it, unless I'm missing anyone. Maz, Monty, Tavi, Roof, Stuplum. Yep. All right.
Like
Wook has informed me I shouldn't use the word none. I should have just said teacher, and it might have been a little bit harder. So I guess that was the key word that everyone tuned in on. Never mind.
Okay, Here we go. Spinning the wheel. Remember, if it's Wiki, then we all lose points.
Oh, fix.
I'm taking the point. I haven't won a wheel spin in like 2 weeks, so I'm taking that.
Just on sorry, who's asking? Mickey saying Picard says I am the law. Well, you know, he his family did spend a long time in England, so I wouldn't be surprised he picked up some of the old tricks at the British Museum.
Yeah, well, we don't steal things. The British Museum, they liberate them and then keep them for
Although not to get too political, but they returned a number of things, Benin items, back to Nigeria about 6 months ago, and then they promptly disappeared.
That's why.
Sold on a black market.
Yeah, that's why they keep them generally, because it's
or you look at what happened in Iraq when
world history will disappear.
Yeah,
they had a change in regime and everything that was in a museum was smashed up.
Yeah,
so, yeah, it's difficult when you return these things. It's wrong either way. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Anyway, I didn't finish with all the trivia.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. We were just saying about this before we started streaming, but it was a bit odd with the shuttlecraft scene where they were doing this, because usually the camera's shaking as well as the people, so it doesn't look quite so weird and fake, but they forgot to do the camera shake. So you just got people like going like this, looking really, really ridiculous and all moving differently. You even see them from behind and you can see they're just like jiggling in their seat.
I know.
It just looks
Picard
really
especially is like that. Oh.
And then at one point, him and Ro were both going backward and forward, but not at the same time. It just looks so wrong.
There's a thing called a gimbal, which is basically putting it up on planks or stilts or some sort of where you can shake a whole unit. And in one of the films, I think it's Nemesis, they put the whole bridge set in a gimbal so they could actually shake the whole bridge, like the waltzers or something. But I understand why on the bridge set and stuff you couldn't do that. The whole thing would fall apart. But that tiny, tiny little shuttlecraft, why didn't they just have it? You know, like, do you remember those little virtual rides you used to get on, you know, at a fairground? You know, it was about the size of a shuttle, you know, and they put you on a roller coaster or something. Well, they couldn't have it on some sort of hydraulics to actually knock you around the place. But no, they never did.
Yeah, they did. They put the Excelsior Bridge, didn't they, on like rattling like gimbals or hydraulics for Star Trek 6, the motion picture. But
did they do it there as well?
They said it was a right nightmare because all like the computer screens and the walls and stuff were like CRTs
falling apart.
And yeah, they'd all fall out, and everything would just start falling apart.
Yeah, I can see that.
So also, I mean, this probably happens quite often, but everybody in the shuttlecraft was seated, and then they beamed in, stood up. That's convenient. And then there was something weird going on with their clothes. So some of their clothes seems to have shrunk, and then like Ro Laren's costume was massive.
Yeah.
None of their comm badges shrunk, and presumably, I mean, I don't know, but Picard's got a false heart. Would that have shrunk, or would that just be like a big adult-sized heart in this tiny little bony chest?
Know. It's a weird one.
Yeah, and also the obviously the pins as well as the badges haven't shrunk. They're still adult size, so they look somewhat out of proportion on the
but
child's
Guinan's
bodies.
costume seems to have shrunk.
Her hat.
Yeah, but Rose didn't.
Yeah, but Rose hasn't. So it's just weird. This is the fourth time something unusual's happened to Ro, because there's sort of cause and effect in the next phase. So there's quite a few things that have happened. And also this is Michelle Forbes' penultimate appearance, the next one only being in Preemptive Strike. But of course, Michelle Forbes is highly in this episode in actual fact because it's the younger self who's in most of it. There you go.
Yeah, she must have been delighted. She got paid for the episode. She was only in it for about 4 hours.
Yeah, I was thinking that about all 4 of these actors. Yeah.
Okay, on with Act 1. So, Beverly checks them out in sick bay and finds that whilst their bodies have reverted to a prepubescent stage, their mental faculties have remained unchanged. Picard sees no reason why he just can't go about his business as normal, so orders the current situation on Lygos 7 to take priority over the investigation of what happened to the shuttle. So he orders Will to accompany with him to the bridge. Beverly wants Picard to stay for additional tests, but Picard's like, the rest can remain to assist you. Picard out. Mic drop, leave the room. Guinan thinks Ro makes a cute kid, but seems to be enjoying her situation. Ro certainly isn't. Her childhood was spent in refugee camps, which wasn't fun. What is fun to her is for her to be normal and to be back at work as nothing had happened.
I realized this was done before Generations, but, you know, Guinan herself was a refugee running from the Borg. So, you know, it's kind of... It doesn't break canon, but, you know, you think she'd mention it and go, yeah, I know how it feels.
Yeah. It wasn't her childhood, though. She had a happy childhood.
That's a fair point. Yeah, she was adult.
She was already grown up by then.
Yeah, she was grown up by Time's Arrow, so yeah, she was an adult. Yeah. Okay, that's a fair point.
I wonder how with the transporter thing, they're all different species and varying ages, but they all went back to the same regression in age.
Yeah, that's just
apparently all their DNA is pretty much the same as well, right?
Yeah, they've all got the same markers or whatever it is.
There's an episode called, oh god, I want to say it's called The Progenitor. Your one Salome Jens, who plays the female founders in it. Basically, there was one race in the universe that evolved first. We haven't come to this episode yet, and they seeded life all across the universe, and that's why all the humanoid species are related and why they can have kids. I mean, you know, you think we couldn't. I couldn't have a child with an ape, for example, even though or a chimpanzee who's 99.5% the same as us. But an alien from another planet, you can just accidentally have a kid. It's like it stretches stretches credibility a little bit.
They're like those aliens for Prometheus who just go around like seeding planets with their DNA.
Yeah. I forget them. I think they're called the progenitors or the
something like that.
Not the founders.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that one.
It's sexually unseen, obviously. Going around the galaxy, spraying every planet they stop by.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they did it in this kind of double helix thing, so it looked like a strand of DNA, so that they'd be found in the future. We'll get there.
Picard and Riker go to the bridge, and Picard issues orders to Worf to launch a probe to examine the area, but either Worf hasn't been told about what's just happened, or his brain's just misfiring because he doesn't do anything. He just stands there gormlessly looking at people. And Picard explains what happened, and he's still Captain Picard, and Worf still looks on. But he does look at Riker, who gives him a little nod. So he ends up following the orders and launches the probe. Picard then asks Data if he secured all the debris from the shuttle, which he is currently doing in the cargo bay, and orders Helm to set course for Lygos 7. Even Data looks kind of uncomfortable at receiving orders from a child.
Yeah, he acts well where he does that. Yes, sir. You know, he puts a half beat on it just to
and
show
he just gives him a little sideways look. He just gives him a little sideways look down. You know, he's like, sir. It's subtle, but it just shows.
I was going to say we don't appreciate Brent enough, but I mean, we might as well change this to the Brent review show. So on this show, we certainly do.
Yeah.
That is a bit crazy that he didn't relieve himself of duty without being told. It's like, dude, you're a kid. Get off the bridge. You're physically not an officer. Like psychologically, yeah, but physically, you're no longer an officer.
Psychologically, but yes, not physically. Beverly enters the bridge and wants to talk to him privately in his ready room. In his ready room, Picard orders tea, Earl Grey hot, just like Mazza McBob, and discusses the medical plans for Lygos 7. Beverly's worried that his condition could worsen and it could affect his mind. They don't know what's going on in there, so asks him, is it wise for him to continue? So in her questioning, she's basically effectively asking him to step down. In the end, Picard realizes that she is right. Let me just put my phone on silent. Yeah, so he goes back to the bridge and informs Riker that he can take command and he'll further notice, and Riker understands. Once again, Riker takes command of the ship and he doesn't seem particularly pleased about it. Guinan and Ro get discharged from sickbay. Guinan wants to go and play because she's, enjoying being a child, but Ro decides to go back to her quarters and contemplate her situation, so Guinan follows. It's now uncomfortable scene alert. I've downloaded an alert just for this occasion.
Oh, this is... Oh, God, this is awful.
So, Keiko is struggling to reach all her plants in her quarters.
Yeah, she has to water all her plastic plants.
Yeah, she got to water her plants.
With no access to natural light.
No. They got special lights in these quarters, They got special lights.
Yeah, they must do.
So she goes to fix Miles a coffee, and O'Brien tells her how he likes it and reminds her that coffee is hot, so be careful. And she's like, I know, Miles. She tries to snuggle into him for comfort, but Miles is not comfortable with that at all.
Ew.
Keiko, in her best chastising Miles voice, says, Miles Edward O'Brien, I am still your wife. Miles on his back foot...
Sorry, go on ahead. Finish the point.
Miles on his back foot replies, well, technically, you are, which that doesn't go down very well. He's like, but you're 10 years old. And Keiko says, actually, Dr. Crusher says, I'm closer to 12. But that doesn't help.
Makes it better.
That doesn't help one bit. No. Go on, John.
I was just going to say, just in that one screenshot, he's acting so much more than he was in that first scene. It tells you everything just in that one expression.
Yeah.
He was in a play in Galway last week. I'm sorry I didn't get to it because apparently it's the first time I've been on stage in 30 years. But hopefully he'll be back. But look, yeah, he tells you everything in that scene. He goes, "Oh dear God, how do I handle this?" And she's doing all these little wife tricks where he's constantly misunderstanding what he's saying and twisting it into something else. It's just like, oh, this is double awkward.
Yeah, Wookiee
So
said
bad.
it wouldn't have bothered Neelix.
Although well acted, have to say.
Yeah. Neelix likes them young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neelix, they finally got rid of them 4 episodes before the end of Voyager. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Molly calls out for her mommy because she wants her nighttime story. But when Keiko offers, Molly doesn't recognize her and says no. Rather than tell Molly the truth, Miles jumps in and decides he will read her a story instead. Miles then leaves Molly for one moment to comfort Keiko, telling her it will all be okay. He doesn't know how, but they will figure this thing out. And that's the end of Act 1.
Lovely stuff. So, question 1. What way does Miles order his coffee? A, with cream and sugar. B, Irish. C, black double sweet. D, black like my men. And the bonus question. Yeah, nice airplane reference for you there. What is Picard's first action upon entering the bridge? What does he say to someone to do?
Let's see if I have that.
I'll tell you he says it to Worf. Maybe that'll help slightly.
Stop helping us. This is a
No, I don't have it written down.
brutal quiz game.
If it's a no-hitter, everyone goes on the board, so...
Okay, what we got, Maz?
Oh, what the trivia and stuff?
Yeah, trivia
good
and
point.
goofs and things.
I'm busy trying to guess the question. Anyway, so another thing is that this is quite reminiscent of something that Captain Kirk and crew went through, but it was as an animated series episode called The Counterclock Incident, where quite a few of the crew reverted to children. So I didn't realise that
I
they
don't
also
remember.
got something similar.
I've seen them all and got them all on video, but I don't remember that episode.
Don't remember that.
No, I don't remember
there
that
you
one.
go.
Let's go back and revisit that one.
So as we've got these two on screen, I'll just focus on these a little bit. I might talk about some of the others a bit later, but that actress there is called Caroline Junko King, and obviously there's Cole Meany, and they actually starred together in something else. It was called Paradise. I think it was a film, and she plays his niece in that. And when you look at her sort of filmography on IMDb, she only has 3 acting credits and then a couple of animation like director credits.
Okay.
So of the 3 things she ever acted in, 2 of them were with him, which seems a bit odd. This was the last time that the O'Briens are in TNG. Then they go off to Deep Space Nine. Miles appears in the first episode, Emissary, and then Molly and Keiko make their debut appearance in Man Alone. This is also the screen debut of Hannah Hattai. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Molly.
Molly O'Brien, yeah.
Yeah. And she's Molly throughout the whole of Deep Space Nine, I think, isn't she? Up to the 7th season. Like, she's Molly the whole time.
She said she's been interviewed before, and she says she doesn't remember being on TNG, but she was only ever in 1 episode. But obviously, she does remember being on DS9 because between the ages of 4 and 11, obviously, when she got to 8, 9, 10, it was easier to remember.
It,
but, age 4, she couldn't remember TNG. No memory.
Yeah,
but she was acting in Star Trek though since before she can remember. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, you're
well, she's I wouldn't say she's making good money, but even if you have like a small role in Star Trek, you can go on the convention circuit and make a living. You know, Garrett Wang, who played Kim on Voyager. I mean, he makes, I don't know, somewhere 50 to 80 grand a year just doing 20 conventions a year. You know, he makes like a living doing that. You know, if you have a good guest role, that's enough. You can make a living. So all you need is 1 good episode, and if you're memorable enough, you'll be signing autographs for $10 a piece. You know, flying out to Las Vegas, flying out to San Diego, all somewhere every summer, raking it in.
And that goes a lot of these classic series, whether it be Stargate or Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Babylon 5 or any number of these cult sort of classics.
Well, it depends on the guest role, but sometimes a guest role, if you're just in 1 episode, it is enough. You know, as I said, if it's memorable enough. She'd had nothing to do with it for about 25 years, but about 10 years ago she started going to conventions, and I guess people want her to sign things because she's still doing it.
But if people will be queuing up in 10 years' time to get autographs of like the disco bridge crew, I'll be shocked.
But that's true. But in regards to, if 80,000 people go to a convention and you get 1,000 of them to pay you $10 to sign something, that's enough.
I know, but who would want
for 2 days' work.
I just don't know who would want the half cyborg face woman's signature. I don't know.
It is a bit. Well, I've not been to any conventions, but I've heard stories. Obviously the way they price themselves. Like the Enterprise people will price themselves at $20 for a photo, and then Brent will price himself at $80 or $100. Or you'll see photos and there's queues for one actor, and then there's just 4 or 5 of them just sitting there looking glum. But I mean, they make enough money to keep doing it.
Okay, who got what for the questions then? What was the answers? How does Miles take his coffee, Sean?
He takes it black like my men. No, black double sweet.
Black double sweet. That was C. So if you put C, which I think everyone pretty much did, well done. And what did Picard say when he entered the bridge?
He asked Worf to launch a probe.
Yes.
Tabby got that, certainly. I don't think... Did anyone else get it? Oh, Mazza got it, yes.
Monteban got it first.
Oh, Ruth got it, yeah. Oh, what? Oh, you did. Sorry, yes, 4 in it.
Class 4 probe. I even got the class 4 bit. See, so that was all of us again, I believe, was it? I think it was.
Not Stuplum.
Not Stuplum. No Stuplum for the bonus.
So he could be sitting
he
here
could
and
be the
forget
lucky
about
one. He could be the lucky one. Okay, let's see. Ooh.
Oh, you're safe. You're safe.
It's going to be Mazza. Mazza McBall.
The old Mazmataz.
Thank you very much.
The
Just
McCoy
continuing
sweeping the
on
table.
the trivia and stuff.
Yeah.
So they share a coffee late in the day, and there's a whole episode in Deep Space Nine around the premise
Yes.
that he never has a coffee late in the day. However, even within that episode, it's shown to be false because at the end he orders one, and she's like, "But you never drink coffee in the evening." He's like, "Oh well, not often, but sometimes." But it's like this whole thing of like whether he's dead or not, and
Yeah.
it's based on the fact that she doesn't think
All
he
the
drinks
harvesters,
coffee late
yes.
in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forget the
He
name of the
does
episode, but
under
I know.
extreme
Armageddon Game, it's
circumstances. Yeah.
Which
Like,
is quite funny.
under extreme circumstances, like your wife turning into a 12-year-old girl, you'll have an extra coffee in the day.
I mean, he didn't actually drink it anyway. He just puts it down. But
It's true.
there was also a bit of a continuity error when she grabs the coffees from the machine. His coffee is in her right hand, and then she turns round, and then it's in her left hand. So they switch over hands somehow mid walking across the room. Also, obviously, Molly's suddenly aged by about 4 years. A little bit similar phenomenon to what happened to Alexander. Must be all those time portals and
Time
things they
dilations. Going
Tiny,
at warp
whiny,
speed,
crazy
speed
mystery,
of light,
sudden
speeds
HD
things up. I
stuff.
don't- yeah, who knows?
You know, by the time Alexander turned 9, he's serving on a starship, so as a full-grown adult.
Yeah. And also, O'Brien seems to have been a bit demoted, so he's now only got the half pip, indicating that he's a chief petty officer, whereas previously he was a junior lieutenant.
Poor
I'll
Miles.
stop there and say.
I wonder what he did to
stuff.
deserve that. Probably got drunk in the transporter room and
Well,
started
my
transporting
headcanon
things into people's bedrooms.
Is we know he was promoted during the Cardassian War, and he just was made the tactical officer of the Rutledge, and it was a wartime, it was a battlefield commission. So my headcanon is that it was a battlefield commission. He was made a lieutenant junior grade, similar to when you were made a lieutenant, just for the purposes of a temporary mission. But obviously it expired after 2 or 3 years, whatever it was. And when his rank expired, he went back to chief. But they always referred to him as chief, but because he had a wartime commission, they kind of held on to it for a while. That's the only way I can make sense of it, why they keep calling him chief, but he has the different ranks. Although, why is he lieutenant grade, then full lieutenant, then back to lieutenant junior grade? I can't quite answer that. But, there is a thing in militaries where you're like a general for a while, and then you're demoted back down when the
Sorry,
when the job is over.
Slipped. My finger slipped.
Shut up, Sean.
On the button. I don't know.
Shut up, Sean.
I don't know. Act 2. Act 2, Sean.
Wook, I don't know.
It's just a finger thing, so thanks for that.
Wook asked, what does Chief O'Brien's hair smell like? I passed by Colum in the street about 10 years ago. I didn't smell anything. I don't know.
Oh, that's a shame.
It wasn't strong, put it that way.
Okay, so the second act opens up with a supplemental log from the first officer, acting captain. The Enterprise has reached the Lygos system and has begun search for the missing Federation scientist team. Dr. Crusher reports no progress on a cure for the members of the shuttle crew. In his quarters, Picard's enjoying the pleasures of having hair. When Troy visits, he feels he can He can't take himself seriously anymore and is worried no one else will either. He might have to wait 10 years before getting another command. Or, heaven forbid, having to go back to Starfleet Academy and be Wesley's roommate. Troy explores other interests, like he could explore archaeology. He has all the time in the world to crawl around caves looking for artifacts, but still has time to be Starfleet's youngest ever admiral. This does at least interest Picard. Maybe life's not going to be so bad after all. In sickbay, the doc reports her findings so far to Riker. She's found that the riboviroxic nuclei, RVN, samples from Picard are now missing certain sequences. These sequences control various aspects of DNA development through puberty. Beverly believes that she's got a theory that they were eliminated during the transport from the shuttle. Keiko's plants also turned into seedlings, and she's been able to develop one of them into a full-grown plant. So, if left to their own devices, the crew should continue to grow without any issues. She does have the missing sequences on file, so she could use transporters to reverse Uno card effect, the aging effect, but it comes at the risk that they could remove more RVN sequences and make the crew even younger. It sounds like they just discovered the fountain of youth. Like, why were they worried about that planet in the second TNG film when they could just put through people through the transporter, removing RVN sequences,
and then they come out all young.
Yeah, they could have solved that issue.
She's like, it says in that scene that DNA doesn't change, which is false. DNA does change. That's why we get
true.
Anyway,
that's how you get cancer.
Yeah, but she's saying that these sequences have been removed, and I'm like, if this has been removed from your DNA, you might never hit puberty again because it's no longer in your DNA. You might be forever 12.
Well, the sequences have been removed from the riboviroxic nuclei, the RVN, and that controls how your DNA evolves. So, yeah.
It's absolutely gone.
I've heard that's actually a thing. That is that is how the RVN is an actual thing. That's real.
It is?
Yes.
Because in my notes it says it was invented by Moore and Shankar in the hope it would be a pleasing sound of letters that would not invite close scrutiny.
No. Well, since this has come out, that whole theory's been proven. I read up on it today. I read a paper about it.
Oh.
Right.
Well, I kind of see the idea of like a lot of dominoes set up, that it's kind of almost an eventual thing that's you can remove it that kind of pushes it back to an earlier space and time, but it's still going to happen again kind of thing. I think that's what they're trying to lean towards. I know there is a lot of hand waving away of the science in this one. It's fairly loose.
It's pretty stupid.
Yeah. And I think this is TNG in its peak techno-babo period,
Yeah, so some of the things, one or two of the things he says about the computer later do make sense, but like about having 3 cores and having them linked together in slave units, but a lot of it is just 99% of it is just junk. Well, you're a programmer, you know more than I do, but
it was beautiful Trek techno-babo. Yes.
Yeah. He says that they have a faster than light interface. It's like, how? You can't.
Okay, so moving on with Act 2. Meanwhile, in O'Brien's quarters, oh no, you don't want to go in there. Close those doors. No. Sorry. Move right.
I mean, sorry. Asians look younger than they should at the best of times. It's just, it's so problematic.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Later in the cargo bay, Miles and Geordi are analysing the wreckage of the shuttle. They find the Tritanium's molecular structure on the starboard bulkhead is completely broken down and can be easily crushed by hand. Geordi decides to run a metallurgical analysis of it in engineering. See what I mean? It's just It's just lovely Star Trek terms.
I love that shot because he goes, I'm gonna bring it to engineering to form an analysis, and even before he says it, a guy just turns up with a little sample case and stands there right behind him, ready for him to put it in.
Yeah.
He just, it's like he doesn't have to say it. It just happens. He's like, oh right, I predict telepath. I don't know.
It's great. Hi Andrew, how are you? I hope you're well.
Evening.
Okay, so oh no, I think I've just missed. In Ro's quarters, Guinan is bored. Ro is still sulking. Guinan thinks Ro was a jumper. A kid who jumps on furniture. It's always the quiet ones, she said. Ro denies it, but then when Guinan starts jumping on the bed, Ro decides that looks fun and joins in jumping on the bed, so they jump on the bed together. It looks like the absolute worst bed to jump on, though, to be fair.
Yeah, it's one of those shitty futon foam mattresses. There's no.
It's like a piece of. It's like a slab of like memory foam. So they just basically jump up and down and just go squidge into it like each time.
Yeah, do you remember you get those kind of, they fold into chairs and then they fold out into kind of beds kind of things. Yeah, it's very 90s.
We had one at our grand's house and we'd sleep on it like every Christmas, didn't we, Maz?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I can't find anything about RVM being a real thing.
Not the actual term, just the concept behind it.
Oh, right.
I'll send you a link later. I have a link. We were talking about futons, anyway.
Oh, yeah. The fold-out ones that we used to down at Christmas.
Yeah.
Cheap foam and weird what divots in them that you're just, they were bad.
Yes.
I didn't mind them, but then I was little at the time.
They were all right. They were okay. They were fine. I don't know if I'd like to sleep on it now, but yeah. In engineering, LaForge and O'Brien report to Riker about their theory of molecular reversion field that explains what they saw in the shuttle's hull, and this would have thrown off the transport scanners to miss the RVN sequences and turn the party into children. Beverly is about to ask O'Brien about using the transporters to reverse the effect when Riker gets called to the bridge because they've arrived at Lygos 7. Riker tells them they will pick it up later. I guess because he gets called to the bridge, that's it. They're not allowed to do any more on this. They've just got to stand there and wait for him to come back.
Yeah, I made the same comment. Like his crew can't continue troubleshooting without him.
No. Hold it there. I'll be back later. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I know Picard removed himself from command. That doesn't mean he couldn't be helping with the science stuff. Without being in command, just be down there, just knocking about, trying to figure it out. I think he was a science officer earlier in his career, I believe, but I'm not 100%.
He was definitely a science officer, and I think, was it Tapestry when he decided to punk out on the
fight?
Yeah,
that might be
true.
what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
So it's very possible. He never looked out of place with the science stuff. He was okay with it and the engineering stuff. So it's very possible.
Yeah.
I wonder if he only partially. I think he should have only relieved himself of command, but still been an officer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
He still could have been on the bridge.
Yeah, he could basically demote himself to first officer and let Picard run things, but still be helping out with the troubleshooting or whatever else he needs to do.
Yeah, Riker. I agree. Wookiee said that I look a bit like Zeus, but always imagine me as Poseidon. Maybe I should bring a trident to the show. Yeah, maybe this might be the last time you see my crazy big beard because it's getting on my nerves now. So I'm thinking of trimming it down to a tiny beard again. No! So you never know. This might be the last time, or for a while might be the
till
last.
It grows back.
Till it grows back. Till I shave it off and go, oh no, that's awful, and then I grow it back again.
Yeah, that's the thing about beards. You don't like them at first, but then they grow on you.
Dad joke.
Dad joke. Okay, Beverly is about. No, I've just said that. On the bridge. Yes, Riker's off to the bridge. That's where we are. Riker's on the bridge, and they start looking for survivors, but all they find is lots of disturbance. Riker really gets up in close and personal with Data at operations there. So on the bridge, I just said that. As they start looking for survivors, 2 Klingon birds of prey attack. And that's how Act 2 ends, with the Enterprise being pummeled by 2 birds of prey. Dun 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 dun.
Okay, where are we? So, which of these did Guinan not suggest to Picard as a way to pass the years? Oh, error, try again. Let me, Okay, it worked that time.
Okay.
Yeah. A, take a desk job. B, brush up on his Latin. C, return to the academy. D, be Wesley Crusher's roommate. And according to Geordie, which bulkhead did the breakup start from? So the shuttle, which bulkhead? So it's port, starboard, dorsal, vectoral, aft, or what's the opposite of aft? 4? 4.
Yeah, 4.
Okay, well,
yeah.
it's not 4. It's not 4 because I've just
You
forgot.
didn't know what it was.
It's one of the
Yeah.
others. I may have brain farted 4, so it's obviously not 4, but it's a port or starboard or dorsal, vectoral,
I think.
or aft.
Yeah.
I'll just copy brief. Okay. What we got? Trivs. So yeah, it's a good job I saved some of my other trivia because we covered some of the other stuff already. The shots of the battle against the birds of prey were reused from yesterday's Enterprise.
Oh yeah, the 2 of them.
No, not.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, who have we got on picture at the moment? Oh, nothing, just those ships.
Oh, I can put
So let's
some-
have a little talk about Mr. Birkin, shall we? Oh, look, nice
Birkin?
Riker maneuver.
Yeah. Who's?
Birkin.
Which was
the,
Birkin?
young Picard.
Oh, young.
So,
Where is he?
oh, you got to go quite far back. I thought he was just talking to. Oh no.
Don't go in there.
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he plays
Hey.
Renee
There he
later.
is. There he
Or
is.
earlier, sorry.
So, obviously, Picard has blue
In
eyes
Generations,
and a
isn't
chin
it?
dimple.
Yeah.
This guy has brown eyes and no chin dimple.
And no chin dimple. No.
So we obviously recognise him, right? He's been in TNG before.
Oh, it was in Family. Was he Renee in Family?
Renee, his nephew.
Yes, that's
Oh.
right. So he's
You know he's gonna
Making
get
him-
burned up in the movie.
Yeah.
sometimes. So making him one of only a few actors that have actually played different members of the same family in the entire Star Trek Enterprise franchise. So, can you think of any other examples?
Brent,
Worf.
obviously.
Worf.
Walter
Yeah.
Koenig is a very. Walter Koenig had a voice role as his own what's his face, his grandson.
grandson.
There in
Oh
Picard just
yeah,
came up.
good point.
President-
yeah,
That might be on your list
Yeah.
because that's very very recently.
Yeah, good
that's
point.
true.
Good point.
Worf.
Um,
We played two
Worf,
different
yeah.
Worfs.
Colin
He
L.
played his own
Worf.
grandfather. Was also called Worf.
Lieutenant Worf and Colonel Worf.
Yeah.
How about
ooh.
Kirk?
Oh, he played him and his brother Sam.
Oh yes.
Did he?
Yeah.
He also played the corpse of. Right.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Sam
George
Kirk, yeah.
Samuel Kirk. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the one. Also, Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar.
Oh
and
yeah.
Oh,
and,
she played Celia, yes,
daughter.
yes,
Yeah.
Celia.
Oh,
and
the doctor, the medical holographic doctor. I don't know. Well, because he played Zimmerman and
Yeah.
the holographic version of Zimmerman.
he does think of him as a father, doesn't he? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give you that. And also, I don't know about this one so much. Jolene Blalock as T'Pol and Tamir. Does she play two related?
She plays her own
Oh,
great grandmother. Yeah, in Carbon Creek.
Ah,
Yeah.
right. Right. That makes sense then.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was a nice little
She
test for you.
her great grandmother gave Velcro to the humans. Although
Oh,
in the
yes.
episode Carbon Creek, the year it was set, Velcro was actually invented 4 or 5 years before. But yeah, that's a deep dive that's not relevant to this episode.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're on about now. And he's supposed to be playing a 12-year-old, but he is actually how old on filming?
I think he was about 17 or 16.
15.
15.
Yeah.
Really?
I knew he was about.
I hate his voice
okay.
so much in this episode.
Oh, it's so high pitched.
I thought it was
Yeah.
I thought it was like a mic error, like they were trying to create a sound of a younger kid's voice. But I was like, is
No,
that
that's
really
just
his
how he
voice?
sounds.
Well, they replaced young Whoopi's voice. They dubbed her over. So they decided her voice wasn't right, but they kept his for whatever reason. So I'm not quite sure. They kept the other three. They just, for whatever reason, they didn't like hers. Who knows?
Speaking of voices, obviously, as Sean mentioned earlier, Isis Carmen Jones also played a younger version of Whoopi in Sister Act. But I don't know if you noticed that her voice is dubbed.
Yeah, you
throughout
just
this
said that.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
That was Sean's point. That was what you just said.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Man,
The other three, the rest of them kept their own voices, but they changed hers. They didn't change
hers didn't.
Picard's.
Yeah.
You were saying he was too
Sorry.
high pitched, but
It's
they
difficult
decided
to
her
read,
voice.
chat, and listen.
Yeah, I know,
Sorry,
yeah.
you're fine. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so for some reason they decided her voice wasn't right, but they left Picard's
Yeah.
alone. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. as well.
I wish I could.
No.
dub
It's
my
ironic,
voice.
We're
being
fine.
that she has been used to be a young version of that actress as well in something
Twice,
else.
yeah.
It just seems crazy that that they would decide
She's
hers
another
was
right
the only
voice.
that needed to be done. Weird. Anyway,
Yeah, maybe she had a cold or something that week, and she just like sounded awful, or I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
maybe. That's about it, I think. Yeah.
Oh, good evening, Mohammed. I hope you're well. He's vaping. Oh, well, enjoy your vape. He's relaxing. He's chilling out with a TNG review with his vape. That's
Okay. But the question is, what are you vaping?
yeah. Okay, so to the answers, John. No, Wookie, you didn't see a 3D printer. I wish I had a 3D printer. I would love a 3D printer, but no, unfortunately not.
Yeah, Deanna did not suggest for him to be Wesley Crusher's roommate, and it was the starboard bulkhead. So I think maybe everyone got that wrong.
I got it right.
If everyone, oh, you did. Okay.
I got
okay.
Starboard.
Stuplum got it right. Montebank got it right.
It's just me and Stuplum, I think.
All right, you're on a fitty.
Come on,
Well,
Wookie.
not really, because now
Make him down,
this is
Wookie.
where Wookie
Oh,
gets it.
sorry. Yes.
Wookie.
Oh, that's a wheel of doom right there.
Woo!
I
Come on,
forgot about the
Wookie.
forfeit. Yeah.
You'd think if it's just like one or two of us, we'd be like, yes, we've got points. But no, it might be that everybody's got points. Here we go. Here's the Wheel of Doom.
Yeah,
Come on,
well,
Wookie.
well, statistically, you're
Come on.
in a three-way.
Wookie.
Oh, lucky.
Yes!
Oh, Montebank looks so not impressed.
Statistically, yeah, you're in a horrible situation. You can either gain points, not gain points, or lose points. So 2 out of 3 isn't good.
God damn it. God
Oh,
damn it.
I'm sorry, Stuplum. I'm sorry that you had to go down with Montebank because it's less funny.
We
that
went
you
down.
lose
We
points.
went down together, Stuplum. We went down together. Yeah. Oh well. Oh well. That's all right.
Yes.
Okay, Act 3. So, as the Enterprise is getting pummeled, Riker orders phaser fire on one bird of prey, and it causes some minor damage. But Worf reports the Enterprise shields are down to 13%. Uh-oh. It's funny, they're absolutely being pummeled by these like bird of preys, and they're like, lock phasers on one of the ships and fire, and it goes, pew.
Yeah, I would have relieved Worf of duty after this episode.
Fire everything.
This, yeah, it's like just fire at will, and just like they're
Yeah.
two 50-year-old warbirds, like fucking the galaxy class. Just blow him out of the sky. What
Jesus
are you doing?
Christ! At this point, I think if you ordered Worf to fire at will, he'd probably take his phaser out of his holster and shoot
Shoot at
Riker in the
Riker,
head.
yeah. Yeah, probably.
This was the most shit battle there ever was.
Yeah.
You got taken out by vintage
Old
birds.
old birds.
I mean, they might as well have been blown up by a potato gun. I mean,
It's like being blown up by one bird of prey is bad enough. Anyway.
Yeah. That's another whole.
This whole fight scene should have been those two ships coming on screen trying to shoot at him, and Riker should have just opened up communications, and he's like, "Y'all all right? Y'all want to do this today?" That's how that should have gone.
Yeah.
It's like, you sure about this? Y'all need some help? But no. I was like, how did you get your ass handed to by these crusty ass ships? I don't know. Continue. It's just
The Enterprise D was a weak ass ship. Its redemption in.
How dare you?
It was a glass cannon.
Kick him off the show, Monty Pants.
Mute him!
Mute!
Mutiny! Mute!
I've muted him now. He can't speak. He can't speak. All right, there you go.
I'm out for you.
But it was a glass cannon. A ship that big shouldn't be that poor.
I've muted him again. I can't take it. I can't take it. I just can't take it. How can you keep saying it's a glass cannon? If I mute him, he's just going to say it again.
But it's redeemed in Picard season 3.
No, it is. It is. All right, I'll let you off.
And I assume because the Syracuse had some Dominion War refits that kind of picked it up a notch.
Yeah.
But the ship was underpowered for its size. Certainly, it shouldn't be that easy to knock out a Galaxy class. Just shouldn't.
So another volley of fire comes in from the old warbirds and knock out the warp drive. The shields go down. It causes casualties across multiple decks, and the windscreen wipers don't work anymore.
Yeah.
Data detect. Sorry, Sean.
They have to change the bulb to go to red alert.
They do. Yeah. There you go. All I got to do is push a button. Let's see.
Was that a Red Dwarf reference?
A little bit.
It was a bit of a Red Dwarf reference. I should have said the pilot seat doesn't go up and down anymore. Okay. So Data detects multiple signatures beaming into the cargo bays. It turns out they're being boarded.
That's a good D-pick.
That is a good D-pick, isn't it? I think I like the framing and the focusing on him and the colours, the red
light,
the red lighting coming off his golden
the light
hues.
diffusion works really well with his skin. It's makeup. Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Good shot.
You can just leave this on screen for a minute, please, because this episode was so terrible for me to watch. Please.
And his big Jewish nose, just a little bit crooked. It's good.
I love it.
And he's gone. So Picard tries to get to the bridge, but when the turbo lift doors open, a Ferengi steps out and takes him by the arm. The Ferengi beam onto the bridge, but I'm not worried. I'm sure our security will take care of that. Worf will deal with them. Worf fires his phaser, but unfortunately for Worf, the Ferengi knows how to duck.
He's just such an awful shot. He can just duck with his back to it.
Laser.
Yeah.
Right. As a general rule, as anyone who's done any sort of fighting sport, be it boxing or anything else, when you duck or dive or whatever else, you don't take your eyes off what you're ducking from. You keep looking straight at it because that's just a recipe for disaster. And yet he somehow turns around and just shoots Worf and knocks him.
He turns around and blasts Worf directly in the chest. He doesn't duck or anything. He just gets mullered.
And also the friendly tactics are fairly awful. You're beaming two people in, beam them to opposite sides of the bridge to cause some confusion. Don't just put them beside each other so you can shoot them with the same shot. Bit of cop on.
Can I just mention one thing with this shot?
If you're able to take down a Galaxy class with your two rusty ass, dusty ships, then
and 12 Ferengi. They get a ship of 1,000 people. Yeah.
So I don't think you need to put much thought into attacking that.
Now, I just want to mention this because I noticed it in this one little shot, this one screenshot, and I've never seen it before. I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but it completely freaked me out. With the little black lines that they painted on the sort of main strut of the Ark, there's like a silver grey line across the top of the black lines. Or like a white. There's like a white painted on line going across the top. In all my years, I've never noticed that.
Yeah, it's probably a recent addition. I mean, I realized it looked great back in the day, but that's just a piece of plywood with some what they call tactical tape back in the day. It's just electrical tape, matte electrical tape that they just put on it to break up the surface. Like they could have just had something that kind of slots in to make it look like you can take the cover off and there's electronics, but they tried to give that impression, but it's just painted on.
In Generations, they're raised panels.
Yeah, and that looks so much better. And I wish they'd kept that when they went back in Picard season 3. They'd put that back in.
But yeah, it became the electrical tape.
Actually, version. just a minor point on the Picard season 3 bridge. They had to rip up the carpet. Dave Blass, who's the art director, he kept a couple of squares of it. And I was like, why'd you just keep a couple of squares? I said you could have done like a limited edition and sold 1,000 off for charity. And I was like, oh, we had bigger things to worry about. But for whatever reason, because the way the carpet was glued down, they had to rip it up and throw it away. So they just, even today, they kept most of the bridge, but the carpet, they just threw it in the skip.
The main bits they've kept in storage.
Yeah, they kept a couple of squares for the casting crew, but everything else they just no, in the bin.
Thing is, you can always get some red and grey carpet. It's not hard, is it? It's
but if it came with a certificate of authenticity and signed by the art directors and they put it in a frame.
Oh, I would have lapped that stuff off if they'd sold that on auction.
I was like, you've turned down like 50 or 100 grand right there. Oh, we have bigger things to worry about. I was like, fair enough. Like literally talking to the art director of Picard, going, why? I would have paid you money to have a couple of squares of that, but no, dumped it out.
I've just got to show you this for a minute. I think we talked about this backstage, but I want to show people because I'm excited. I've just ordered a Monster Maroon Strange New Worlds. This one.
Yeah, the one with the deltas on the arms, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That one.
yeah, the one on the future Pike wears, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the one from Balance of Terror. Or not, well, whatever they call Balance of Terror in Strange New Worlds. Yeah, that one.
It comes with the the tunic, the under.
Oh, that's
under thing.
If it comes with the undershirt, that's not bad because the undershirt pricey enough on its own.
Yeah. So it doesn't have a belt or any of the badges, so I'm gonna have to get like belts and badges and things, and you can just wear a pair of black trousers with it. But I'm quite looking forward to that coming.
Well, technically speaking, the trousers should have a red trim on the sides.
Yeah, they should do. Yeah, I'll have to get some red. Yeah,
but it depends on how hard you want to cosplay. It's
not that relevant. It's really only from like there up.
Yeah, if you're only on screen, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway, I was excited by that, so I'm looking forward to that arriving. Yeah. So, they knock Worf out. The next funny thing that I thought in this scene was Riker jumps out of the way of some non-existent phaser fire. You hear the shot go off after Worf gets hit. You see him jump out the way, and you hear the disruptor beam, but they never added the actual effect in, so it just looks like he's just jumping to the floor for no reason. And
I think it's actually him as well. I went back and I watched it.
No, it is. I watched it a couple of times. It's definitely it's definitely him.
As we mentioned several times, he has a back injury, so it's surprising he did it himself. But it's an odd one.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the rifles aren't Ferengi as we know them to be. They don't match any of the Ferengi style, and they have been used in other episodes for other creatures, but they were basically Romulan rifles, and even when they shoot them, they shoot green, which is the Romulan style.
Yeah, but they're not a part of the Ferengi alliance, are they? They've gone.
Yeah, I
gone
suppose they
rogue,
could have just.
And he does say, like, for the cost of a couple of birds of prey and some weapons. So he's obviously just bought these on the black market.
Yeah, and apologies for stepping on Maz's trivia before she says it, but when they beam on, it's a Ferengi transporter effect, but they're coming off a Klingon ship. And yeah, potentially it could be that they just cobbled it all together. So yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah, they did say later that they'd made some repairs to the ship, so that's how that one's explained away.
Can you just
Who's
keep
she?
this photo here for a minute? Oh my God, he looks beautiful in this one. Look at that. He looks like he about to do something, but we know what happens.
Can we talk about Christy Hayden for a moment?
No, Data.
Who is she? She's not listed on IMDb or anything.
Okay, sorry.
She is a ensign, a Starfleet ensign of no name, but played by Christy Hayden. She's in about 20 episodes of TNG as a background character, as a helmsman. She's in quite a number. The interesting thing about Christy Hayden is she is also a singer. And at the same time she was on this episode, she was performing.
She's a sewing machine.
She was performing with a band called Sparks, which I'd never heard of. But they had a song out called Catherine Hepburn Say. Which she brought over here and performed over here on television in the UK. But yeah, I was drawn to her. Hey, who's this? Why have I not noticed her before? But
well, I saw Lieutenant J and Ensign Gates in the background, but I didn't notice her at all.
You guys won't be able to hear this, but if I just drop that here, and I'll just put it into the middle somewhere.
Yeah, it's
All you've gotta do is show me kindness.
Her voice sounds a little bit like Madonna.
And the kind of sensible awareness.
I just hear some static. I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah,
that was her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you just go back to that screenshot for a second? You can see under the plaque that there's the replicator on the bridge. We never see it in use, but there's very, very few shots you can actually make it out. But there's one shot where you can clearly see it's a replicator. So in theory, you can drink drinks on the bridge. Just you never see anyone doing it.
Yeah.
Data!
Yeah.
You don't have to turn on red light.
Tell me, do you want to tell me? Do you want to tell me where that turbolift goes?
To his bedroom? What? I'm
No.
I'm in data mode right now. What?
Yeah. Well,
It does start with B.
No, it doesn't. It's supposed to go off to some side hallway, ain't it?
No.
No, it's to the battle bridge.
It's emergency turbolift to the battle bridge. Yeah.
I suppose in Navy terms you call it the CAG. You know, it's the other bridge in the dead center of the ship.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. So.
You took me out of my data zone for that.
Sorry. Data thought about making a move on the Ferengi, but then he realised they have disruptors, so he stands down as well. He doesn't do anything, which is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I'm no military man, and I haven't handled a lot of weapons because, you know, I'm from Ireland and we don't have them. But like they have these big rifles, and then they shove them right up in people's faces, like where you can just grab them and pull them out of your. Like I mean, you know, if you're across the room, there's nothing they can do. If you get up really close, it's a chance they can slap it out of your hand, including to Data, who should be faster and completely capable of doing it. But they're using these long-range weapons right in people's faces over and over again, and it's just like every military person in their mind would just slap their heads and go, "Why would you put the weapon in a place where they can grab it? Like it doesn't make any sense." And they do it over and over again the whole episode.
This entire battle pissed me the frick off when I was awake for watching this episode. How do you go on the bridge and take out 3 senior officers? You got Worf, Riker, and Data. Data, I'm sorry, he has quick draw. I'm sorry, there's no way he can't pull his weapon and go, "Fat Al, and be like, really? This is one of those moments where they could have honed in on his android like super shit. So it's like,
Really, as I said,
why?
the most cringy thing, as I said, even when I was learning kickboxing and stuff, you don't like turn like this if you're avoiding someone because they're just gonna punch you in the back of the head. And when you avoid people, you do it like this, so you can see what they're doing. Yeah, he just turns his back to him, and he still doesn't get shot. Turns around and shoots him. It's just like, yeah, Worf would be fired. It's awful.
Yeah, but he misses them as well, though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
No,
You
he
wouldn't say
shoots them where they are, and then he ducks, and he just keep holding the phaser down and move it around, but he doesn't do that, and he just stands there and gets shot. He doesn't even.
Thing
duck.
is,
It's
phaser fire,
awful.
TNG phaser fire is so slow, isn't it? People can easily dodge out of the way of it because it goes, "Pshoo." So you just go, huh? Like, you can't dodge a bullet, but you can dodge phaser fire.
Yeah. It moves at the speed of light, but you can just sort of move out of the way somehow.
Well, the original script had Data being rendered unconscious as well, but obviously they decided not to do that and have him just held captive. But yeah,
They
that would have
would
been
have
even worse.
fired
right?
him
If he'd
quite
just
a few
been taken
times.
out by
I
a
think.
Ferengi.
Yeah.
He could have smacked their heads right off of their bodies, just pop, pop.
Anyway,
Well, if
this is
if
all
I was
going
Data,
on,
sorry, just
But-
before we move on, if I was Data, I would have just emitted some sort of sonic tone because
Yeah.
they're Ferengi with their big ears, and immediately incapacitate them and just have them creep on the ground holding their ears, and that would be the end of it.
yeah.
He has this gorgeous ability to go from 0 to kill bot, and he doesn't do it. This is why we need Lore. Lore would have just smirked, turned around, and waited to unleash the carnage.
Yeah. He would
It
have
would have
snapped
been
their
beautiful.
heads like the Flash before they'd even known that their heads were snapped.
No, you know what? See, now I need to do it. I need to just do a little comic book where what would happen if Data and Lore were switched. Like Data was the one that was shut down just because he was dorky, and Lore was the one that was a little smart and ended up joining Starfleet, and he's a psycho crazy bot that no one pays attention to. And they're like, Data, can you come into my office? Or Lore, I need you to come into my office. He's like, this is the 50th person you've killed this week. So
There's an episode of Doctor Who. Sorry, chief fact. There's an episode of Doctor Who called "The Family of Blood," and there's these people that are chasing down the Doctor to steal his time energy or whatever, and he has to go into hiding. And you think it's because he's trying to save himself from them, but it turns out he's actually trying to save them from him, and he puts them into these eternal tortures. Because if he could hide from them, then he didn't have to do it. But once they caught up with him and he regained his memories, he thinks he's human for a while. He traps one as a scarecrow forever. He traps one as that little shadow in the middle of a mirror and stuff. And it's an absolute horror thing. And that's exactly who Data should be. He should be completely restrained. But if you push it, if you go over the line, he is going to hurt you so much. Like in a way he doesn't even want to, but he's going to do it because he has to protect the people he loves. And
but he happens to do it in this quick way. No, it's not Data, it's Lore. Lore.
yeah, his bad side.
Do you know in a recent BBC animation, I've forgotten what it's called, but he undoes that. They go back and undo it because they decided it was too much for modern sensibilities.
That was great though. Oh, Family Blood
he
is
goes back and
fantastic
undoes it.
episode.
And apologizes.
Oh, love it.
Okay. So, Riker here deactivates the command functions just as one of the Ferengis orders all adults to be beamed down to the surface of the planets. There's another thing. They mess about doing all this for all this time, and they've given Riker all the time in the world to close off all the command functions and lock the ship down. They should have just come on the bridge and just stunned everyone right from the get-go.
There's no reason. Wide beam stun, done, bang,
Done. Wide beam stun, finished. This is just a picture of them
just
loading
beam
up
in
the
a little
people
pod of
and
an
beaming them
S-Sync
down
gas
to the
and have it
surface, including
expand into
Geordie
the air.
there.
I have a question. If they have the ability to beam onto that ship and board it, don't they have the ability to beam people off of the bridge?
Yeah, the shield's down.
Yeah, pretty
as
much.
they can, yeah. So that's them just beaming down, as I just said. On the bridge, Wolf's still passed out. As the daemon of the Ferengi arrives on the bridge, he's not happy that the command systems have been locked out. The daemon asks who's in charge, and Riker steps forward, and he orders the command codes to be restored, or he will start executing the crew. That's the end of Act 3. Question, Sean.
We'll do a few questions, sure, why not? So, what is the name of the daemon who ran the Ferengi operation? A. Daemon Brunt, B. Daemon Lumba, C. Daemon Lauren, D. Daemon Alburn.
Very good. That's very good.
I thought you might like that. And Adam Nimoy is married to which Star Trek actress?
I've forgotten her name.
Well, you give me the character name. I'll accept that.
Well, Farrell?
Yeah, that's it.
Terry.
Hey? Dax.
Terry?
Terry.
Dax. Yeah, Terry, is it? Terry Farrell?
Farrell?
Well, it's fine because you're from the West Country, but you know, if you were from Southern England, of course, you would say Terry Fowell. That always cracks me up no end.
There we go.
But
I
Yeah,
don't
you
know
did
if you
John
guys.
Watson. So go ahead.
I don't know if you guys mentioned this earlier, but during the battle, Data states that sensors are offline, and then says sensors detect Ferengi boarding the ship.
Someone fixed them. They're pretty quick down in the sensor department. They're on the ball.
Well, I will say there's internal sensors and there's external sensors. So when they said sensors are offline, you could have meant the external ones in terms of the battle, and then when the internal sensors when they landed, yeah, it's clumsy writing, but it doesn't break the episode.
And you were just saying about the Ferengi, they're a bit stupid. Why, whatever. But it's an interesting dilemma, right? You've got to have a foe that's believable taking over the Enterprise, which they weren't. But at the same time, if you went for something like the Cardassians, they're saying, well, would you believe that 4 little kids could retake the Enterprise out of hands of the Cardassians? So, but again, it's like they might be little kids, but they still have
in appearance, yes, but
they still have the tactical and brain power of themselves as adults. So I think it might have been a bit more believable if.
I would think in that situation, I would be more of a threat as in a 12-year-old body because they just wouldn't be expecting it. You'd be smaller. You could fit into spaces where you wouldn't think a human could fit. They just would completely underestimate you, and it would work in your favor.
I don't understand.
Although I have to tell you, at 12, I was still like 5'10". I was tall young. Sorry, Calvin?
I don't understand why these people don't have more access to phasers.
Well, they're locked in a children's classroom, so they there's no phases there. It's not
did the
Texas.
Ferengi actually herd 1,000 people off the ship and into the? I mean, that's crazy. Like they would have needed loads of Ferengi to do that, right?
Yeah, 6 of them.
That's a lot of transporting.
Yeah.
To herd 1,000
did it
people
safely.
from all of those decks, that would have taken absolutely hours, and so many of them would have just hidden away or been mounting a counteroffensive.
When you see this,
I guess they could have been. Couldn't they have been doing it from the Klingon ships? Just moving, teleporting masses off.
Oh, they could have been. Yes, that's true. They didn't even need people on the ship. They could have just been doing it from transporters on the Klingon ship, site to site. But yeah, I mean, you look at this shot here where they're herding the first lot off, including Geordie. I mean, there's 6 of them in that room, including O'Brien at the console. And bearing in mind, whilst they've got their guns on the transporter pad, O'Brien behind them
Punch
at
him in the back of the head, or he could have just locked onto them and just beamed them into stasis. They, just left them in the buffer.
Yeah.
Or you
Or
know,
space.
you could have you could have done a switcheroo. There's nothing stopping doing that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a bit of a surprise that they really did it that easily.
He could have been beaming them to the Klingon ship. Like all kinds of chaos could have been going on.
Disruptors used by the Ferengi were a reuse of the Romulan disruptors from Unification 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and were based on those used by the Visitors in V from 1981. And then also about the Ferengi themselves. So Mike Gomez, Tracy Walter previously appeared together as different Ferengi, Tar and Kayron, respectively, in The Last Outpost, and Michael Schneider also previously played a different Ferengi, Col, in The Perfect Mate.
Just on V there, Terry Metalis was on the Shuttlebot show. That's the kind of the Star Trek Enterprise podcast there. And Terry Metalis is the guy who made season 2 and 3 of Picard.
Your best Twitter man.
And oh yeah, he blocks everyone on Twitter if you give him the minus criticism. Anyway, the he was asked what show would he reboot if he could, and he said V. It's already been rebooted once about 20 years ago, but he feels it needs another doing because it didn't go well back then.
What needs rebooting?
V.
Oh, V. Yeah, no, V wasn't a great reboot, was it?
No, your one Marina Baccarin was in it, who was in Stargate and the love interest in Daredevil and various other things.
Yeah.
But it just whatever. They did 10 episodes and it didn't take off. But
Was that the show where the aliens were reptiles?
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the British monarchy.
Alan Tudyk. Woo, them redheads.
It was just the fact that like a lot of the scenes were done on green screen, and it was early green screen, and it just looked awful.
Yeah.
Like they didn't look like they were standing in the sets, like the shadows and things just weren't right. It just looked bad.
I mean, even now with Strange New Worlds, the AOR walls, they do look a bit flat, and they don't really give you the sense of depth, but they're still, pretty impressive.
Not bad. Yeah, it's still pretty good
compared to what they could do 5 years ago. Even, it's still pretty decent, and it's better than green screen.
Oh, Mohammed's preparing for school. He's a tourism teacher.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
So you're up in
cool.
what, 4 hours? Fair play to you, lad.
Yeah. I don't know what time it is there, but I mean it's quite late at night. I think is it Malaysia?
It's like 3 or 4. I'll tell
It
you.
is 20. It is 20 to 5. So he's
In the
up
morning?
in 2 hours basically, or
Ah.
3 hours.
Ah.
Woohoo,
Right.
Mohammed. Getting it done.
Okay, so who answers the question, Sean? Basically.
Yes, of course. The first question was D. Damon Albarn, of course. No, it wasn't. It was Damon Lauren.
Yeah. See,
Who Brunt? You know who Brunt is?
Brunt. He's the FCA.
Brunt
guy
FCA.
from Deep
Yeah,
Space
that's
Nine.
it.
Yes.
Ashley Nagus Brunt, played by Jeffrey Combs. Lumba. Who's Lumba?
Lumber is Quark when Quark needs to pretend to be a woman.
Yeah, when
God,
he
episode.
transitions to a woman, he's known as Lumba because he lumbers around the place. Yeah, Damon Albarn, lead singer of Blur, of course. And Adam Nimoy is married to Terry Farrell of Jadzia Dax fame.
Yes. Am I the only one that got that?
Yeah, so you've got a 50-50
Oh,
chance of
no.
losing.
This is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Woo! Working, I love you as the anti-points. Oh,
No! Oh, you got away with it.
Yes! Yes! Sorry, I got a little excited there.
I feel
so much
like
suspense.
Even
I feel
Chewie
like
came.
you
Even
need a
Chewie came
2-1
to.
if it's just down to the two of you. That seems fair.
There we go.
20 if
know.
you win, 10 if you
Chewie,
lose. I think it's
Chewie,
a
I
bit
won.
cheap to have
Double or
you guys
nothing.
send.
I won.
You want to do a spin for double or nothing, Monty?
No. I know. He's brought me a sock. Whenever he wants to like please me, he brings me a sock because he thinks they're just really important. He thinks there's the most important thing in his life is if he can find one of my socks in the house.
Yeah, well, he knows what makes him happy, so he brings it to
Yeah,
you.
he's got a sock. He's happy. He's a happy chappy, aren't you? Go on, then, Chewie. Off
At
you
the
go.
moment, Monty and Mazza are joint first with 210 points. Tavi and Ruth are joint second with 200 points. And Stu Plum is third with 190 points. So there's only
Woo.
20 points that split us all. And Kaz did answer the first question and get 20 points. So she's in sixth position at the moment.
Okay, so moving on to Act 4. Chewie, I need to get to the control key because I need to put a picture up on the screen. You want to go now? You want to go? Go on, off you go.
Ah.
Okay, Act 4. The Ferengi are holding Picard's arm. The Ferengi that was holding Picard's arm throws him into the classroom, and Ro gives him the sit rep on how the Ferengi are taking over the ship. Keiko is worried about Molly, but Picard thinks she'll still be in the primary care unit with the other younglings. They make plans to use their current condition of being children as an element of surprise. I quite like that, how, like, you know, they got this, like, little table in the classroom, so Picard uses that like the observation lounge, you know? They have a conference
it's like
around the table.
Pool table, yeah.
Yeah. Right, come up with a plan. Damon Lurin, from the last question, is feeling at home in the ready room when Riker enters, telling him that he's risking war between the Ferengi Alliance and the Federation. But the Damon says they are independent and they're only working for themselves. Damon Lurin is feeling pretty happy with himself. For the cost of 2 old warbirds and some weapons, he's netted himself the Federation flagship, its crew, and a planet below that's full of Vendorite. The crew have joined the science team to speed up the process of extracting the ore, who they're using as slave labor. Lauren tells him that the Enterprise is going to fetch a good price on WeBuyAnyStarship.com, and he tells him to reinstate the command codes, or he'll ensure that the mining on the planet will be very hazardous for his crew. This is the second attempt he's made of bribing the command codes out of Riker and threatening to kill off the crew. And yet he still hasn't done it. In the bridge, he's like, give me the command codes or I'm going to start murdering your crew. And Riker's like, and so, like, later on in the ready room, he's like, give me the command codes.
Just have one, shoot him in the head. Next one, shoot him in the head.
Yeah. Give me the command codes or I'm still going to start murdering your crew. And he's like, oh, I'll think about it. Doesn't do anything. Neither of them do anything.
The only thing he could do in that situation, if that was the case, is kind of throw himself in front of the phaser and get himself killed. Because obviously, if he was killed, then he couldn't undo the lock. So that's the best thing he could do to save his crew in that situation. But that's not the way they did it.
My dog does love peanut butter. He does. We've got little licky plates and things that's got crevices in it, so you stuff it with like kibble and peanut butter, and he spends ages like trying to get it out. Keeps him occupied. I don't know, what else can you do with peanut butter, Wookiee? Wookiee's got a dirty mind.
Well, leave that conversation where it is. Good night.
Good night.
No.
We're here all night.
Yeah.
Okay, in the classroom, Picard is trying to use a leapfrog My First Computer to pull up a schematic of the area of the ship. After it asks him, can he spell Enterprise? E-N-T. He turns off the sound, but he does get a floor plan, and from that determine that just a Jeffries tube just behind a wall.
Yes, because the captain of the ship wouldn't know his way around every single crevice and crook of it.
Well, maybe not every Jeffries tube. Picard orders the girls into service, into the service conduit with a "make it so."
Although I do like this shot because clearly they've just put a little junction on that to make it look like there's a whole Jeffries corridor behind it when the set doesn't have that. So I do like the way they give the illusion that that Jeffries tube is there when in fact the set is somewhere else.
In fact, yes. This is actually here, but what they do is they just put a little bit of floor and a little bit of a side of a Jeffries tube.
Yeah, it's just the first section.
It's like
the
first like 2 feet of a Jeffries tube. That's all
yeah,
there.
and they just that's all it is. And similarly from the opposite shot, they shoot it at a very narrow angle.
We explore that later.
Do a wide angle. Sorry.
We will see that later on. So yes, Picard orders the girls in with a "make it so." It seemed a little bit forced, if you ask me. Yeah. Make it so, and his little squeaky Victorian England sounding voice. Anyway, Alexander then drives a remote controlled thingamabob into the captain's leg, giving Picard an idea, and he asks to borrow it, and he heads down the Jeffries tube with the remote control thingamabob. They use the remote control thingy to lure Ferengi out of the transporter room. He's like, "Oh, shiny." He follows it off down the corridor. Whilst Picard and Keiko go into the transporter room, Picard sets up force fields on the transporter pad, and Keiko grabs some phasers. They manage to escape just before the Ferengi arrives, carrying his prize. The remote control thingamabob.
I have 3 different problems with this. One, him being so stupid. Second, Ferengi can hear everything. He doesn't hear the door opening and closing or the other door opening and closing. And the third one is Keiko walks out with both the phasers, doesn't even have her finger on the trigger. You know, why didn't he just hand one over to Picard and they just shoot him in the face? Why do they have to
taking on one?
They have phasers now. Why do they need to continue the subterfuge? Just shoot him, stun him, and put him behind the force field and be done with it.
Yep, that is true. I did wonder that same thing.
Actually, also, and I didn't notice this just now.
Their brains were affected in this.
Yeah, that's one of the stunt phasers because it doesn't have the little power setting thing at the top. I can't remember if that was there in TNG. Did that come in later? But there's a little kind of power bar that lets you know what setting it's on.
Sorry, I was just reading chat. Chewie has that same problem sometimes. Yeah.
I imagine the hair is great for farts Wookiee because it breaks up the noise.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, Ro and Guinan are still making their way to engineering, with Guinan feeling a little tired. Well, she's not as young as she used to be. In sickbay, Alexander's distracted. No, Alexander's not distracted. In sickbay, Alexander distracts a Ferengi guard who exits one door, but Alexander doubles back through another door and picks up a couple of hypo sprays.
And again, this absolutely kills me. He doesn't hear the door opening. He's a Ferengi. He can hear a mouse from 200 yards away.
The doors as well. They're on a flat corridor as well, right next to each other. So as that Ferengi goes out that door, he's got to go in this door. You know what I mean? It's just like...
I mean, a Ferengi can hear your heartbeat. They have... the one thing about Ferengi is their hearing is fantastic. I suppose that probably explains why they hunt bugs, why they eat bugs, because they need to be able to hear them moving around the place.
Why am I as deaf as a post then? That makes
I did it.
There's a reason I wear over-the-ear headphones.
You've got old man ears.
Yeah, that's right. You'd think we'd improve our hearing with age, wouldn't you? Because eventually, when we're like 70 years old, we got big droopy ears. We'd be able to hear it.
Isn't it?
I'm going to go deaf.
These things you're 20 to like the size of your hands when you're 40 or 50.
Yeah.
I don't know.
According to some science, you guys' hearing does improve with an asterisk. They say you hear less of the frequencies. What?
What?
You hear less of the frequencies that most women's voices are in. So it's like, oh, I don't hear that anymore.
That's a good evolution to have.
How
Just
coarse
got
is my
after it,
beard
got
hair?
older.
It's
Got a
quite
great marriage.
coarse.
I will say being a little bit taller. If I'm in an indoor environment like a shopping center or something, all I hear is it feels like being underwater because all I hear is noise and distortion. If I was shorter, wouldn't be a problem. It's like I don't know. As a taller person, you've been in a nightclub, you might as well not be there because you can't hear anything that's going on.
Ro and Guinan have nearly reached engineering. When they reach engineering, they wait by the door. Alexander arrives at the classroom, and this is just what I was just going to say earlier on.
Oh, you can see the end of the set there. Yeah,
You
they
can,
just put a black
you
curtain
can see
behind
the
it, yeah.
black curtain or the black, thing that they just cover over, so you can see exactly how long that set piece was. It was pretty short.
Yeah, it's just exactly.
So when you highlight it, you can really see the edge of the set there.
Yeah, it was only for a couple of frames. It wasn't even a second, but because we were talking about it, you can definitely see it there.
Yeah. So yes, he arrives back in the classroom, reports back to Picard that the mission was a success and hands over the hypo sprays. Keiko asks if he thought of a way of getting to the bridge, and Picard replies that unfortunately he can only think of one. Picard
They
exits
have phasers.
Yeah.
There's like 12 people. There's 12 Ferengi. They think every adult's off the bridge. Just shoot them. No.
Anyway,
They have access to a transporter.
in one of the most cringe scenes we have in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Picard exits the classroom and tells the Ferengi guard he wants to see his dad now. Now.
His number one dad, yeah.
His number one. So the Ferengi reluctantly, for whatever reason, decide to take him to see Riker in the observation lounge, and Picard runs over to his number one dad and gives him a big hug, and Riker doesn't look uncomfortable at all. Picard seems to enjoy it though, to be fair. So there you go. And that's the end of Act 4. Question time.
That'll do it. What mineral are they extracting on the planet? A. Benamite. Sorry, I have two C's because apparently I wasn't paying attention. C. Dolomite. C. Magnesite. Or D. Venderite.
Yeah. You
Or
can
E dynamite.
or E dynamite.
And the bonus question is, who does Damon Lauren say they are going to sell the ship to?
We buy any starship.com.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my god, why can't I type?
Anyway, yes, so obviously they've reappeared as children with their adult brains in mind, and as an adult, Picard doesn't really interact with or get on well with children, yet he's put in an environment in a classroom and he seems to get on with them fine, which is quite sweet.
Well, he gets on with the adult children pretending to be children.
Well, he's also
And Alexander.
got Alexander on side, and
But just
but he
basically,
knows
he
it.
just
He's
treats
not-
Alexander like Worf, doesn't he? He just like, right, you're Worf now.
Well, he has the senior staff, and then he has his enlisted
Yeah.
crew, and Alexander's like his chief petty officer. You know, he's his first enlisted man. That's kind of how he's treating him. But I think that does probably lead to a kind of thing where if you don't have kids yourself, speaking as a man, what interactions you have with kids not related to you can be quite reserved about. You don't want to be overly friendly because it can be misconstrued as something else, so you keep a distance on purpose. Like, it's fine if you have kids of your own, it seems more normal, but if you try and interact too much, it seems a bit weird, so you just keep a distance and you just be polite and leave it at that. It's just, that's the modern world we live in. So I think that may be a bit of what he's doing.
Well, people overthink things, people really
like the way I walk home from my father's house to here, the way I do it takes me through a soft play area, and I always make really careful, like to not like look in at the kids playing on the things and just walk past them, just in case anyone thinks anything of me just going, and you go, oh, that's nice, this kid's playing, but just in case anyone might overthink it, I have to get in my head and go, no, don't look, just look forward, don't look at them, just pretend and move on. It's the world we live
But basically, you have to do an O'Brien with 10-year-old Keiko.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thankfully, that didn't go too far. She went back to her normal whiny self soon enough.
I've said this on stream before, but I every lunchtime I have to take like lunch off work, and then I drive down to the local valley, where I take Chewie up the valley, there's a field, a play field, and a woods, and he like runs around the woods, and I've got a black van, like a panel van. So I pull up.
Oh no! No, it's not a white. It's got to be the white.
I got a black panel van, so
You
I
don't
pull
ask
up.
any little girls to pet your puppy, do you?
But the thing is,
You
I've
need
got
the 18
to.
strip in it.
I got to walk through a play park to get to the valley. So I pull up next to this kids' park with my puppy, get out, walk the puppy through the play park where the kids all say hello to the puppy, and then take him up the field and through the woods. And it wasn't until about 6 months after doing this, I suddenly was like cognizant that, if I was watching this from one of the nearby houses, I'd think, why does that guy keep pulling up with his black van and getting out with a puppy and going to that park?
Yeah. And as I said, if you have kids of your own, I wouldn't say excusable. That's kind of the wrong word, but it's more like you're more trustable. They feel like you're a thing. But if you don't have kids of your own, they go, who's that freak?
Yeah.
Why is he walking through here? Why is he near the children? When in fact, it's just the easiest way for me to get from my dad's house to my house is walking through the park. And I quite like walking through the park, but it happens to have a couple of kids playing on swings and things. And, even though I don't have kids of my own, I kind of go, oh, that's nice. It's great to see kids playing. But, if you just look over and you kind of smile, it gives an impression that you don't want it to give. And you just don't look, don't smile, just walk straight past, because someone will take the wrong idea. And, just pass it. It's not good.
No Smiler Rainbow. Sadly, it does have a mattress in the back of it at the moment.
Oh, Lord. Oh.
Well, no. Only because a couple of weeks ago I had to go to Gloucester on work, and I stayed with my sister-in-law and her family in their spare room that doesn't have a bed. So I took one of my camping mattresses with me, and so at the moment... So it does actually have a mattress in the back of it. It's on top of some ladders and a workbench, but it does. Funnily enough, it does have a mattress in there.
Oh my god. Okay, next.
After the younger version of Picard is brought to the classroom by the Ferengi, Ro suggests flooding the ship with an ethylene gas, and Picard says, "Oh no, we can't, because we're locked out of all the computers and command functions." But how did he know that? He left his quarters, got led to this place, and he's talking as though he was on the bridge or something. But yeah, I just don't know how he figured that out.
The children's VTech computer in the classroom told him.
Yeah, about that computer. Did you, on the display there, did you, I don't know if earlier when I was looking at chat, you commented about the display and what it was saying and where he was saying to people to go?
Oh, I don't know. Kind of that one.
Yeah. So he was going, right, but you go over here and then you go up there and that's how you get to engineering.
Yeah, there was nothing on that display that said anything. There was just some blobs.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's like the front
saucer section.
Left-hand side of the saucer section. How is just along there and along that Jeffries tube going to take you to engineering?
It looks starboard to me, well, based on the angle, but either way, it's the saucer section. How the hell do you get to engineering?
It's nowhere near engineering. It's like 20-odd decks and like a saucer section away from there. So yeah, that was a bit crazy. Did you also see the little fishy that went across the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, I did. I haven't got a picture of that, though.
Oh, just before you move, I was going to say there was a 47 on the screenshot, but it's okay. You don't need to go back.
I want to go back now.
But there was a little fishy that went across the bottom, which is actually called a triggerfish.
Just you see on the right there, the second
47.
47. There we go.
Fish of Hawaii.
How was it?
And it's called Huma Humunu Kuna Kua Pua A.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that was in an episode of Octonauts.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
I have children.
Yeah.
Huma Humunu Kuna Kua Pua A.
Pua'a.
Pua.
Don't remember Peso saying it?
Kua Pua A. Yeah, cool. Anyway, what else? Oh yeah, when he did his little temper tantrum thing, like I mean, he has no idea how the Ferengi are going to act towards children. They
could have shot him in the face.
Shot him or hit him, or So it was like a massive risk making a nuisance of himself in that way. But no, what do? They do exactly what he wants, They just bend to his will, and it's like as if captors would ever just go, oh, well, we're just going to give you everything you want then.
He does
Just
go for it. I mean, look all the veins in his neck. He really, and in his brow.
Popping out on his head.
All the veins in his head just pop out. So he really, I reckon this might have been like the 5th take or something. So by the time they actually got to filming it, like all the veins in his head by this stage were just like all throbbing out of his face.
Blood pressure's probably a bit up by this point.
Yeah.
And also, none of the Ferengi question why these couple of kids are wearing Starfleet uniforms and comm badges. And I mean, I know you could think that they're playing dress up, but it's still a bit odd.
Who would do that though? That's so lame.
Who would do that?
Dorks.
Just
No way anyone would do that.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
But like they already
I mean,
have
I'm not a
lasers. Why do
Ferengi,
we
and
have
I
to
wanted
do
to
that?
smack him across the face. But
No.
his time
Shoot
came.
him. Shoot him now.
Just walk out and shoot him. Why does he have to have like they have phasers? Why are they still playing games? Yeah, anyone who pretends to wear uniforms is sad.
Put a uniform over your uniform, but they're both red, so you don't get anything more on our bingo.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh. Answers to the question.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one is Benderite. Dolomite is kind of a joke question because there's a film called Dolomite starring Eddie Murphy, but that's not that interesting. And Damon Lauren says they're going to sell the ship to the Romulans.
Yes. How many people said Romulans?
Mazza, Montyban, Ruth, Stuplum, and Tavi. I said Womulans just to make up for your Tavi Fowl thing earlier.
Well, we got
Well,
a good spread
it's
of
fine.
people.
It's fine. You're in the West Country. You don't have that problem. It's more of a Southern English thing. Like
I really
Essex
thought it
into
was
London.
just a
Oh,
Jonathan
Towie
Ross
Fowl.
thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you follow the YouTube channel Trekyards, but there's a guy from Essex on it, and he always says Towie Fowl, and it just cracks me up.
Okay. I am spinning the wheel. Do 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 bop bop bop.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's just my night. It's just my night.
It is.
Sorry, guys. I feel bad now. Winning once was fine, but I feel bad now.
Oh.
I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. Yes. Okay, right. Act 5. It's the final act. It's the final act.
We didn't credit people for their sing-songs earlier with Damon. There was what was it? Damon Mom La Bam Bam. And there was also a from Smiler, there was Damon, Batman.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, all the common
Oh,
people.
and
from
we
Ferengi.
forgot to sing Shadowcraft in the sky. I can fly twice as high.
Smiling rainbow. Okay. Yes. Act 5. Riker asks how he is and how his friends are, and Picard tells him they are all fine. Picard moans that there's no game, none of the games are working, so there's nothing for them to do. Riker says he will try to get them some games online, and Picard thanks number one dad. And just to show how close they are, they hug again, and it's all totally normal. Look at us being normal. And
Yeah, look at us looking at you while we hug. Yeah, that's normal.
And
I
Picard,
don't even think they would have cared if he just left it at number 1.
yeah, they're completely alien species. They don't know what humans are.
Yeah, they also don't know
like.
he has 4 pips in his collar for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Or
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. So Picard returns to the classroom, and in the ready room, Damon Lurin is wondering how to get Picard's fish Livingstone out of the fish bowl. I'm not sure if he wants to eat it or try to sell it or whatever, but he does seem determined to get our fish out of that fish bowl.
Isn't it poisonous? Is he a lionfish or
it's a lionfish. I'm kind of worried for it right now, but there we go. Riker enters the ready room, and Damon tells him...
Poisonous to humans. Who knows what it's poisonous to?
Who knows? Yeah. Damon tells him that he's surprised Starfleet have their families on board a starship. Riker thinks it's their strength, but Lurin sees them more as a weakness and threatens to kill Riker's son if he doesn't unlock the computers. I want those command codes or else.
This is more of a DS9 retcon, but they established that all Ferengi education is basically apprenticeships, like Victorian England. So you would just be taken in to learn basically for you paid slavery kind of thing, and you might just come out of it. So him to say that they don't have them on ships, of course they have them on ships, because otherwise how would the apprenticeships work? They take, as I said, it's very much like a Victorian workhouse. They get them in at 8 or 10 years old, and just anyone that don't die, get to be, part of the gang.
I thought they were a bit more caring. Do they
Yeah,
go for
No.
child labor?
No, Rom says something along the lines of, "We throw them into the pit of commerce, and those who survive graduate." That's the wording. It's an early in DS9 that they mentioned. And later on, Rom goes on to join Starfleet, but like 2 years before that, he can't even read properly. He has to be taught to read by his friend because it's not considered profitable to Ferengi.
I care less of future continuity and things though, because I mean the people that wrote this and made this don't know about these. The Ferengi to these people were a very different beast to what we see in Deep Space Nine, I think.
That's a fair point.
Which I'm surprised, because actually these guys do seem more like the sort of old style Ferengi, even though this was made at the same time as Deep Space Nine Season 1. So it goes to show that even during Deep Space Nine Season 1, they're still ironing these things out.
Yeah.
Which is interesting in itself. Riker agrees. Let's just get on with it.
Sorry, go on.
Let's get on. Riker agrees that he'll show Morta how to use the computer. He pretends to instruct the Ferengi officer, but just basically speaks nonsensical technical babble. And on the side, whilst he's distracting him, he unlocks the computers in the classroom. In the classroom, Picard finds access the computers is now open, and he can access the transporters. So they start transporting the Ferengis into the transporter room. Starting off with the guy in the transporter room, the remote control thingy bumps into him, and voila, the Ferengi is transported onto the pad. behind the force field that Picard set up earlier. I do wonder about that remote control thingy. I call it that because it's not a car, it's not a spaceship. Is it a robot? I don't know what it is. It's not obvious.
It's a
is
remote
it?
control car. I mean, even by 80s standards, it's fairly clunky.
It's fairly clunky thingy looking. I don't know. In engineering, Ro and Guinan come out of hiding and tag 2 more. They play it in engineering and go, "You're it," and beam those guys into the transport room.
Again, Ferengi can hear like bats. It's just.
They can in future. With Alexander leaving the classroom, he gives another guard a comm badge and says, "I just found this." And when he hands over the comm badge, he transports into the transport room. Keiko takes out another one with a hypo spray, and this leaves just the 2 of them on the bridge. So Picard leaves Alexander guarding the classroom, which, bless Alexander, being a good little warrior, he stands to attention outside the classroom and does his duty.
Doesn't even give him a phaser. What's he going to guard it against?
He's
Well,
a
I mean,
Klingon.
if he knows Worf, I'm not going to give him any. Jesus.
No, don't give him a phaser. He'll shoot Will. Picard enters the bridge, and him entering the bridge was a distraction enough for Riker to knock Mortar out. Then Picard takes his ready ring.
Ferengi are known for their prowess. Like, he could have just done that at any time.
Yeah, he could have done. Well, they're known for their cowardice, yeah, I guess. Picard takes his ready ring back because he's got a phaser, and he takes it back from Lurin. So this is mine. And Lurin does an audible gulp. Gulp. And that's a picture of the Ferengi that they've been beaming onto the transporter pad. They try the force field, but that doesn't, they're trapped. With the Ferengi in custody and the Ferengi Alliance disavowing any knowledge of anything that's happened, it's time to reverse the aging thing, the de-aging thing, and bring them back to normal in the transporter. Picard's up first. He goes in the transporter, he checks that he's okay by rubbing his head and finds that he is indeed bald again, which, is the better way, frankly. And the rest follow.
I enjoy it. I look forward to it.
Yeah, well, one day, maybe, if you're lucky.
I'm getting there. Look, it's creeping up.
Yeah. I shaved my hair off in 1999, so, it's been 24 years.
13. I still have some time.
Except Ro. Ro's been busy drawing a picture of Mom with crayons. And she finds that Guinan visits. Now she's back to being Guinan. And Ro finds that being a child wasn't as bad as she remembers.
I thought it was a bit weird that they were like exploring this childhood thing with adult minds, because I would have just found these things annoying to do. We're not actually kids.
Yeah. Just having to walk so many steps and everything looking so big and scary would have been crazy. It'd been like, oh God, I don't like it.
I would say yes and no, because presumably if you put your adult brain into a child, your hormones and all your sensory things would be still of a teenager. So while you would still have a lot of emotional control, your body be spiking in adrenaline and testosterone, and your levels be going up and down. So I could see you being a bit more unpredictable, even if you still had your experiences.
And
Can you imagine the implications of your brain if you put an adult brain in a child body that's used to getting certain influxes of hormones and systems, reactions, and then suddenly, no. It's like...
Yeah. They're spiking, they're jumping, you lose all emotional control. You can't, when you find someone you're attracted to, you can't just suppress it and just pretend you're not.
I think
your
your
life becomes very difficult.
I think it's probably worse for women because their hormone levels and things change a lot over time. Men
they have a monthly
basically
cycle,
get to about 13 or 14 and they settle and they don't really progress past that. So I doubt we really notice too much.
Again, a future retcon in the future, Guinan says, "Oh, I can just increase my age if I want, just to catch up with people, so they're not weirded out." So she goes through the transporter, but apparently the natural Elorian ability is just you can just push your age forward anytime you want. So she never really needed a cure; she could always do it. Well, according to Picard season 3.
No, I don't think she can. She can't push it forward. She can stop the age. She can choose to not age or not stop aging. I don't think she can make herself older.
No, that's in Picard season 3. Yeah. She just goes, "Oh, I'm just catching up with people," and she just looks her real life age.
Because she chose to age. Yeah, a bit like Data did as well.
Because between Time's Arrow Part 1 and TNG, which is whatever it is, 400... No, it's longer. It's 500 or 600 years. She looks the same. And then, 30 years later, she looks 30 years older. She's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to catch up." So she's like, "Oh, we can look younger, but we can catch up when we want to." It's basically how they hand wave it away. So this episode and that just don't really quite gel. Okay. I take your previous point that you can't blame the writers of this episode for what happens in the future.
So anyway, I just want to say the last line. Ro felt being a child wasn't as bad as she remembers and is about to go and transform herself back when Guinan's like, "Why don't you pass me one of those crayons?" And so they decide to prolong her transformation and carry on drawing for a bit. And that's how the episode ends, with them drawing with crayons.
Can you imagine, they span over to the next scene and you're just looking at a Crusher waiting, so is anybody coming? She's thinking she's about to treat Ro and they just left her there. They're like, "No, we're going to come in later." Be like, "No, get your ass here now."
Well, I'm just glad that it's Guinan in this scene and not Riker. And Riker's come down here and says, Don't transform yourself back yet. Why don't you stay a little girl for a bit longer? And pass me one of those crayons."
Oh. Yeah. Is this just the ick episode?
That would be a far worse scene.
Okay, so final questions. And as Mazza pointed out, it's a slight trick question. Which classroom does Picard ask that the computer be unlocked? Was it A5, B6, C7, D8? And I've thrown in a bit of a wildcard question. Hannah Hatay, who plays Molly, later appears on which reality show as a server in her father's sushi restaurant? So, reality show, better restaurant.
Okay. So, obviously, Picard pretends to be Riker's son, which is a bit of a throwback to Future Imperfect, where Riker did have a son named John Luke. This whole technobabble, more saying, it's a salute to technobabble.
The computer code thing. It was more going technobabble mad. Yeah.
And Riker himself just expressed frustration with other crew members recently, where they were trying to give him explanations, and he thought that they were being too complicated in their language, and now he's the one actually spouting all the gibberish, which is quite funny.
But it actually was gibberish. Normally, technobabble has some basis in science. It was pure nonsense. It was just.
Well, they've got to reverse the tachyon field to.
He did that on purpose, just to confuse them, right? I mean,
yeah,
Riker wouldn't even know all of that real technobabble. He was just literally trying to tie them up in knots and saying things that were nonsensical, just to stall them, basically.
Although I did feel I was in a meeting with my software engineers, and they were telling me how they fixed this week's problems. And I'm like,
"What did you do?"
Well, yeah, of course, I would have done the same.
We realigned the runtime on the left phalange by 12 centimeters.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
The Melicort's remostat and the FTL nano processors with 25 bilateral callilaterals, with 20 of those being slaved onto the primary Heisenfram terminal.
Yes.
Well,
Exactly.
I can
That's what I
see
would have done.
Heisen is in Heisenberg is in Heisenberg.
Yeah,
so
he
I
also
see,
said about the
that's
Ontarian
quantum.
manifolds, which would be Canadian manifolds, right?
Yeah, well, I can get Heisenberg because using the uncertainty compute principle, that's quantum computing, which is coming in now. And yeah, slave terminals make sense. And the Enterprise does have 3 separate cores that are all interlinked. So parts of that make sense, but yeah.
And there was an
not a lot.
isopalavial interface and a
And-
phyromactal drive unit.
We talked about
Yeah, that's
manifolds
just
the other week,
nonsense.
didn't we?
We talked about
mentioned manifolds. We talked about manifolds the other week.
Manifolds.
Schisms.
yeah.
Schisms was all about
This was an
manifolds.
Ontarian manifold.
It's like a 3-dimension in space, wasn't it? That was manifold.
Yeah, it's just a conduit, just a pipe, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, what else? It's often stated that Ronnie Cox is the only guest star to have ever recorded a captain's log. But of course, that's not entirely true because at the end of this, David Birkin makes an official log entry as the captain, even though he's still a child. So this is the second time that the transporter has been used to restore somebody to their proper age in TNG, with the other example being the artificially aged Dr. Pulaski being changed back to her normal self. And as Ro was not seen returning to an adult and she seemed quite reticent, the writing staff did consider having her choose to remain a child. They really thought, that would be a great idea, but the idea was sort of squelched. They thought it was a bit too drastic.
Oh, really? Wow.
They also didn't know whether Ro was going to be coming back. This could have been her last episode, but she was brought back for one more episode in season 7. But yeah, it might have been quite a neat thing that she could have had her childhood all over again, because she always goes on about how it's so traumatic and stuff. So.
I don't think Ro was used enough in series 5, 6, and 7 since she came into it. I just think there was lots to explore, especially leading up to Deep Space Nine. They could have delved into some of the background of, leading up to Deep Space Nine and what the stories Deep Space Nine would have. They could have laid some of that foundation with Ro, and she's such a good actress and such a good character that I think that would have just been a slightly more interesting thing, like a bit of a very mild, like 7 of 9. Where she could have been more of a main character, and that would have been a nice thing.
At the risk of repeating myself, I know I said it before, but she was offered the Kira role in Deep Space Nine and went on for 7 years. But she thought she had a career in movies ahead of her, and she didn't want it. And so I'm assuming she was getting some breakthrough roles. I know she was in Escape from LA roughly around now. Was Escape from LA, but yeah, she thought she had bigger and better things ahead of her, and
I'm bringing up an alert. I'm bringing up an alert. No more bingos. We've got to stop the bingo.
We're bingo done.
Bingo's finished. We're all done with that. Tavi, if you want to have a look at the bingo
ultimately,
sheets.
she thought she had a bigger career ahead of her, but if she'd done 7 years of Deep Space Nine, she would have been set for life. And I'm sure she didn't do as well, but it was the wrong option.
That last thing got Ruth a bingo. I think she was very pleased about that.
I'm like halfway through.
Sorry.
That is.
So.
I haven't said that in at least 15 episodes.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I considered taking it off the bingo thing.
Okay.
Also, everyone, start thinking about what you'd want to give this episode out of 10, 0 to 10.
Okay.
What would you rate this episode? Let us know in chats if you're still around. So I appreciate it's 10:30.
Picard asked them to turn off the security in classroom 8, but all the diagrams indicate they're in classroom 7 on some of the dialogues.
Yes. So that was a bit of a trick question itself.
I didn't even look at the answers. Did anyone answer that? I don't see it.
I had no clue. I didn't answer it.
Oh, okay. Well, if I told you Gordon Ramsay visited her father's restaurant, would that help you?
I thought it was Gordon Ramsay. Shit.
Well, Kitchen Nightmares.
Kitchen Nightmares. Nobody answered. Okay.
Nobody answered Kitchen Nightmares. Nobody knew that. No.
So yeah. Basically, in about 15 years ago, her father's restaurant was on Kitchen Nightmares, and I only realized it after the fact. After it already was in the episode, I didn't recognize her at all. But that's the thing.
Oh, I'm so sorry for their restaurant.
Yeah, it didn't make it.
Well,
but you can find the episode.
Yeah, I know. I love watching Kitchen Nightmares, but what I like to do is Kitchen Nightmares was it gets towards the end of the episode.
Yeah, look it up online.
Look up on the wiki what happened to this restaurant, and they always fold within like months of the episode airing. It's like, yes, after they completely renovated the restaurant, it folded. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
every time.
Well,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, they get to him too late because we're 200 grand in debt. Like, that's not coming back.
They've been creeping along for 12 years, and Ramsey turns up. They fold within a month.
Yeah. Although that show's coming back, but they in order to make sushi, you have to freeze it to kill everything in it, and then defrost it and stuff. The freezers didn't work properly. It was a whole thing.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I learned something. I learned something this week. I'm going to share this with you, and you're going to wish I hadn't. You might have heard of this before, but I watched a video on YouTube that was talking about gutter oil in China. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, yes. I follow this. It's ADV China, maybe?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the channel was.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
They were talking about the fact that China's trying to cut down on people using gutter oil because it's causing like widespread stomach problems, and it's just a bit of an issue. And showing all these phone footage things of people like retrieving it and going through what it is. Oh my God, that made my stomach.
They take it at a sewer grates, or even if you have a restaurant and you throw all your organic waste into a bin, the oil will rise to the top.
Yes, they go back to the bins and they siphon it all back up again.
Don't go to China. It's not a good place.
Well, if you do, just be very wary which restaurants you go to. I'm sure there's plenty of lovely restaurants, but
you basically have to eat in 4 and 5 star hotels that you're staying in, and even then, it's still not 100%.
Mazima Bob survived, so I'm sure it's not
I was there for a couple of weeks. Didn't have any problems.
No.
Glad to hear it.
But I think this is more of a recent problem.
I mean, they told us not to eat the stuff from the Chinese markets because,
yes,
that was things like the arms of a starfish and snakes and grubs and, I don't know, fetuses all on a stick. Everything was on a stick. Big centipedes on a stick. Yeah. They were like, don't eat that. Your stomach isn't ready for it. But other than that, it was all fun.
Ruth only got a +5 for a bingo. Mazza got +10. That's a shame.
That's hard luck. At least you got a +5. It could have been nothing.
Yeah,
I only realised I had 1 row. I didn't realise I had 2.
Yeah.
I wonder what I forgot to check off. Never mind.
Anyway, I've now shared that piece with you, Wookie. You can go look it up and be as horrified as I was. But yes, it's the same as. It's a recent phenomenon because some areas are on hard times. So you went there a few years ago now, so it was probably fine. But yeah. Okay, so have we got scores on the doors for the quiz?
Not quite. I'm just putting them in. Sorry.
We'll just talk amongst ourselves. If you haven't already put some scores for this episode in, Ruth Stuplum, what would you score this episode?
You can do a spin of the wheel.
Okay.
We're
doing everybody loses.
I didn't do a spin of the wheel because there's nobody.
Yeah, put everyone in. Tammy, would you care to tell us what episode comes next week?
A fisting episode.
What?
If that's your king.
It's a fisting episode. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Does it involve data in fisting?
A whole fistful. Okay. A fistful.
I think I need a.
An answer from Stuplum. Did he go to bed?
I don't know. Maybe he may have fallen asleep in his chair. I didn't spin the wheel because nobody got the last question right.
Tavi.
So there was no last wheel to spin, unfortunately. No spiel. There was no spin. We missed a spin. Right. So I've lost my spreadsheet because I've got too many tabs open. I just use too many pictures these days. It just feels the tabs get off the edge of the screen. Right. I'm ready.
Well, depending on your browser, you can use groups so that you have a group of tabs, and that'll make your life easier.
Resistance is futile.
Shut up, Sean.
Fair enough.
Resistance is futile. Okay, cool. So, in first place, with 445 TNG review points, is Montyban.
Yes, I've won. I think that's the first, isn't it? I'm not sure I've ever won before.
The
Well
bingo.
done. We're 20 episodes into the season. We finally got one.
I got one. I'm happy.
Stop ruining his victory.
I can finish now. I'm done. I can go back to doing the quiz. Okay, who's next?
Then next is myself, only 5 points behind you on 440. So that's 9 points for me.
9 points for you.
The bingo set you up.
Yeah.
It did. Plus, I got one of the bonus wheel spins as well, which helped. And then next again is Ruth with 425. And her 5 bingo points put her just 5 points ahead of Tavikins.
How many points for Ruth? Was it
points.
8?
So 8 for Ruth, 7 for Tavi. And then next is Stuplum. I mean, did I get that right, Stuplum? Did you not answer the last question? I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I don't see it. So Stuplum's in 5th place with 6 points, with 290. Actually, just thinking about it, even if Stuplum did answer, he would have still been 10 points behind
right.
Tavi. Good job, it doesn't make any
So
difference.
how
either
many
way.
did Stuplum get?
6 points on
6
the board.
points.
And
So
then
that puts him on 54.
next is Karen, who got the first question right. So she gets 5 points on the board. And then finally, we have Andrew, who did not answer any questions, but did get 5 on the bingo and did tune in tonight.
Yeah.
Did I get knocked out of first place
So that's
now?
4 points for him.
For Andrew, yes, 4 points.
Right, let's have a
Rejig.
thingy. Sort range, advanced custom sort on column B. There we go. Oh, so it's not changed too much. Just it's now me and Stuplum that are on joint 3rd place, and Mazza McBulbers unfortunately dropped off the bottom of the top 3. Just about. It's still really close, apart from
How does
Tavikins,
that happen? Oh, right, yeah.
because I
you
won.
got more than-
So I moved ahead of you basically. That's,
Yeah.
so
You only got 1 more point than me, though, right? So how are you 3 ahead of me? If we were on the same and you got 10 points and I got 9 points, how is there 3 points between us?
because I
Or were we
was,
not on the same?
we weren't on the same. You were
Oh,
on the
right.
same. You were on the same as Duplum, I think, and I was behind you both.
Yeah, I couldn't have been in the same as Stuplum either because I got more than him too.
I don't know. I'll have to go back and I'll go back and
Yeah,
check it.
that's
I
fine.
can't do it now, but I will go back and check. I'm relying on everybody watching what I'm doing and correcting me if I've messed it up because I'm thinking on the fly. But yeah, I'll have to go back and check it now.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I'm not bothered. I just didn't quite understand that for a second.
Rascals then. So, has everybody got their paddles?
Yes.
Can I just put a quick motion forward? Next episode of Fistful of Data is a bit boring. Can we just skip it and just move forward?
I will
Yeah.
figure out where you live.
I think
and
we'll all be happier.
Yes. Yeah, we can do that. If
Get
everybody
down,
agrees,
get down a host. I'm leaving.
we could take a vote. We could take a vote.
Oh, okay. All right. So next week's episodes will be the quality of life. We'll just skip past.
Yeah, we'll skip it. We'll skip it.
The one with the exit. It'll be grand.
No, how could we possibly skip it?
I have
Yeah,
been on such a data withdrawal that it has been almost painful to watch the episodes for
It's
review.
not been that bad.
And this
It's been-
episode was the most painful.
This one was pretty bad. This one for
just
data.
to get the fistful of datas. I almost wanted to be sick for tonight. Be like, can I just call off tonight? I can't do it anymore.
Okay. Well, you've made it over the hump. We've the big one next week.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready with your paddles?
All right. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boing. I scored it high.
Wow, that's the biggest spread of score I think I've ever seen.
So,
Wow.
is it
Tell me
0?
straight up with the 0. Wow.
0.
8 for me. What did you score?
4
Naz?
for me.
4 for you. And was it
6 for
6
Sean.
from Sean?
And the audience has scored 4, 5, and 6. That averages out at 5.
5.
5. Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that's the lowest for this season. It is.
Not by that much, though,
Well,
shockingly.
It's well, I had a
I
feeling it was
really
going to
thought
be
this was going to
low,
be well low.
so I upped
Should
it
have
a little.
been.
I quite enjoy it. I have to
Vastly
say,
inflated it.
it's well only because not artificially, but I still found the episode fun.
You think it was better than Time's Arrow?
Yeah, Times Arrow Part 2. Yeah. Well, I do it on my
Majram Stuplam.
Mazram. You know, as I have with previous seasons, I've done it on my enjoyment factor, and I had fun watching this episode and narrating it, or writing my notes and the jokes and things. I just found it entertaining, not always for the right reasons, but I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed the concept, even joking about the poor situation that O'Brien found himself in with his family. But I also quite liked how the different personalities managed their situation of being regressed in different ways. And I thought that was interesting. Picard really just kind of took it on the chin mostly, but just went about being Picard. Guinan just wanted to be a child again and just run about the ship and go yippee. And I just thought it was fun. And I like seeing the Ferengi being explored a little more in TNG, because for what was supposed to be the big antagonists in TNG, they really didn't feature very much, so it was good to see them back. I would have preferred it if they'd attacked them with a couple of Ferengi marauders, because I love that ship, and we don't see that ship anywhere near enough in Star
Nowhere
No.
Trek.
I love the Marauder.
Like 5 times
They
over.
could have
30
came on
years.
with the whips too. Come on.
Yeah, they could have come along with some Ferengi marauders and some whips, and that would have just made it even better. But yeah, I just enjoyed it.
Well,
I had fun.
the thing that pushed it up for me is literally this week, or maybe last week. I was just reading one of the Star Trek groups. One of my kids is like, seeing me watching TNG, and they kind of half interested in it. And what can I do to get them into Star Trek? And I was like, well, start them on Prodigy. But like 2/3 of the comments were like, watch Rascals, watch Rascals, watch Rascals, watch Rascals, show them Rascals. So as for that reason, that it's kind of an entry level episode where you can get kids into the show. And while I'm viewing it as a 37-year-old now, when I first saw it, I was 9 or something. I probably did appreciate it a lot more, and I enjoyed those hijinks a lot more. And that's probably a big part of the reason why I'm still into Star Trek now, is because of this episode. Even though I'm viewing it through an adult sphere, you know, would I still be watching Star Trek if this episode didn't exist? Maybe not. So it gets a push up because of that.
Yeah. Why 0, Tavians? Why do you think this episode merits a 0?
Everything sucked. Everything was.
There was no data. There wasn't enough data in it.
Everything, and I couldn't. It, like, when you got into any sort of like premise or groove for the story, they sucker punched you right out of it. So I've only seen this as an adult. I didn't see this episode as a kid. I probably would have loved it because maybe it would have been fun. But you get in, and okay, they come in with the dumbest like science talk ever, and I'm just like, what? And then you've got the actor they chose. I was annoyed just by the sound of the kid's voice that played Picard. And I'm like, you didn't dub his voice over? I didn't even believe it was his voice, because I didn't think a young man's voice could sound like that. So that threw me off. And I'm like, is my audio wrong?
Well, it was annoying.
And then, like, okay, he doesn't relieve himself or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he's messed up in the head. But then Riker has like 100% failure as captain. I was like, you mean to tell me this is the same guy that took out the Borg or held off the Borg for a little bit? No. And then the entire bridge crew gets taken out by a bunch of imbeciles. And retro. That's like my like Guinan said. It's like beating out a Formula One car with a bunch of like retro like death proof. It's like, no. And it was, I love space fights. I need space fights. This space fight was so bad. It was painful.
It was painful to watch the flagship of the Federation fire one phaser at one ship. 2 old ships. And then that's all they could do. That's all they had time to do. Lock on phasers, try once. Oh no. Oh, we've lost everything. Oh no. And
then they're boarded. And then the entire complement of the Enterprise
is gone. Yeah.
Gets taken down by how many Ferengi? No 6. Shootouts, no nothing. I'm sorry, if you boarded the ship, it would have been all freaking chaos. Be like, oh hell no, it's going down. Everybody should have been in that hallway going crazy. 100%. You know? It would have just been chaos. Alone, just people running unmasked down the corridors would have been enough to stop this.
There was these guys, 4, 5, one other, and 2 on the bridge. 5, 6, 7. So I think there were 7 Ferengi in total.
And I'm sorry if they actually boarded. I don't know if I fell asleep. I had to watch this episode twice tonight. I fell asleep for the first half, and then I had to put it on like 1.5 speed so I could watch it in time for this show. But I'm like, did they actually board by beaming onto their transporter pad?
No, they did site to site. They beamed into the cargo bays and the bridge.
Because to me, I'm just like, how? If you have someone who's in a transporter and you find out someone's beaming onto your ship, the second I'm sorry, as O'Brien or any other badass at the transporters, I'm like, y'all should be doing this job well enough now that if anybody tries to beam onto your ship, beam those fuckers out into space. I'm not having this crap. To me, it's just like, no. And then you got the kids and then the Ferengi. And it was so painful for me to watch this entire show. And they didn't even, like, the only thing that was palatable maybe was Ro, Laren, and Guinan. I like Guinan because she's just like, she's a being that lives for centuries. So of course she's cool with it. And
they were super cute.
Yeah, she's cool with it because she's like, I've been living forever. I ain't never got to go back in time like this. I'm gonna just chill and enjoy it. And you got Ro, Laren. They could have gone into her story a bit more.
I liked Alexander as well, just being a little Starfleet officer, just like getting his orders from
Yes, sir.
Picard
Yes, sir.
and just going, "Yes, sir, I'm on it, sir." You know, it was just he was super
And
cute
then
as well.
he turns out to be a pacifist later. So I'm like, oh, wah, wah. And then,
He comes around again.
You can't talk about
And his father is a bit of a dick because he doesn't support him. He just like brings him down. When he comes around full circle and does what his father actually wants him to do, he acts a complete dick about it. It's like, oh well, you should have done this earlier. Yeah, Worf's not the greatest of guys.
And Worf becomes a pacifist himself in season 3 of
Yeah.
Picard.
Yeah. Worf is. Yeah, Worf.
This
I'd
is.
say I
episode-
agree with everything Tavi said. I found it cringy and annoying, and there were just ridiculous flaws in the story and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I still quite actually enjoyed it, so
Yeah.
that's why I've given it a below average. But I got 4 points of enjoyment and kind of 0 for writing and everything.
All right.
As I said,
Okay.
what brought it from a 4 to a 6 is that anytime you're talking about how do I bring my kids into watching Star Trek, Rascals is like the first thing everyone says. So that's what changed it for me.
All right. I'll bring it down to a 7. There you go. It's now definitely the lowest.
We convinced you down, did we?
Well, I just realised I finished a bottle of wine, so it might be the fact that I'm drunk. That
Oh, you're getting
Possibly.
merry. I love you, episode.
that might
Sure,
have
what
some,
you-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can just confirm you probably won't see that uniform again because it zips
That
up the
might have
back
something
and
to
it's
do
an
with
absolute
it. I
bitch
don't
to do
know.
when you live in your home.
maybe.
And I needed to pee, and that was a hell of an effort. I don't know how you women do it. That's fucking Jesus.
What are you drinking now, Sean?
I have a little bit of rum.
And you have
oh,
a
man, you would have
beer?
given someone else wit. You would have given someone else
Didn't you have a
bingo.
beer as well?
Sorry,
Didn't you have a beer as well? You were drinking a Guinness or something.
I had a Guinness. I had one Guinness.
Yeah,
I
so he's
one
had wine,
cider,
beer,
now I
and
have one rum.
spirits in one night. That's impressive.
Wow. That's,
You would have given some other people bingo.
that's pretty
Yeah, you just
impressive.
needed to drink quicker, Sean.
You should have been watching Tavi.
Every time you change out into something new, I can't. I'm typing. I'm looking around. You want me to
Yeah.
just look at you, Sean?
A little bit.
I'll just look at you then.
I need to get that gold makeup on.
Oh, you don't even need that. That purple hair does it for
I'm
me.
like,
Brilliant.
So next week is a fistful of datas. So we're heading off to the wild, wild west. Not just one data. Not just we got data. We got data in cowboy outfits. We got data in
Data
dresses.
coming out of all of our
We got
pores.
data coming out all over the place. So
Yeah, let's
I
make
just
it.
said I wanted to look at you and look. Do you want me to dislike you? Do you want me to dislike?
we're
I will
already,
watch this.
We're
I will
already,
watch this on my own.
can we all just agree to give it a 10 and move on to the next episode?
yeah.
Scram, you varmint.
Scream. But no,
You know what-
go on. Sorry.
I hope you pull up a photo of the movie that Brent Spiner was in when he was very young, Manhunt for Clyde Davis, because it's very funny to see that like country sort of view of him, and then this,
Well, he's from Texas, yeah.
yeah, and then this thing here where he's playing a very strange country accent, and I'm like, why are you talking like that? Just use the regular one.
What's the name of the character he played on Night Court? Well,
I forgot. Oh my.
but yeah, that's not far from the Fistful of Data accent he does. I believe, I can't quite remember now, but I think I watched some of his.
Now that is
I'll give you that one.
delicious. Ooh,
A Jewish cowboy, who knew?
he is gorgeous. Look at that. I'm sorry. Deliver your panties, ladies. Deliver the panties.
That's going to deliver some chafing on the saddle, though, isn't it? You know.
Clean up in aisle 4.
Look at those lips. Oh my god.
He must have got punched as a kid or something because his nose is awful crooked.
Isn't it crooked here?
He's looking to one side.
Yeah, like I noticed in this episode, and then I noticed it again here. So yeah, it's obviously crooked to the right for whatever reason.
It's always been crooked. It's what's kind of kinky about it. I like it.
There's nothing wrong with having a slightly crooked nose.
Well, both
Says
the
me,
actual
who has a slightly
literal
crooked nose.
meaning of the word kinkity. Yes, exactly. That's what it is.
I could bring up some more. It depends. How much do I want her to scream? Look at this.
Yeah, let's make her scream.
How did the whole gay relationship in the second Independence Day work for you?
Woohoo! Ooh, it was all delicious. I'm sorry. I'm into all of it. Young Britt Spiner. I'm sorry. He makes my body hurt. Oh my god. Woo!
Tab, when you were born again? 77 or something?
I'm finding it such a weird person to have such a strong crush on.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. It's a bit like Loki, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I don't understand that either.
No.
Jewish. If you look there are different types of Jewish like nationalities, and they have very, very striking features. But his set of the Jewish features, I don't remember what sect it is. I'm sorry, that just gets me every time. The nose, the look. Ooh, I love it. That and Eastern Asian men. That does it. I'll stop.
Oh, you carry on.
No,
I was always like it for Aaron Sung in Farscape. I liked a bit of Aaron. Is it Aaron Sung? Is that her name?
Oh, yeah.
But I liked her nose. It was her nose and her face. The same sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't young either, right?
No. Christ, no.
Yeah.
How do you spell?
She was in something. Oh, she was in an episode of NCIS the other day.
Oh, she's in Stargate.
Oh, and then Deanna Troy
She's
popped
in
up as
Stargate.
the head of the Mossad, like Israeli intelligence agency. And I was like, it's Troy.
Yeah. Let's see. Here we go.
Yeah, I've seen her. Yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah. That. Back then, that did it for me.
Kid. Oh.
See, now you understand. That's the female version of Brent Spiner to me.
Yeah.
So.
She's got a wonderful nose.
That's schnoz.
It's slightly crooked and it's got a lot of curve to it, but it's.
Yeah. It just kind of comes out, then it goes down.
Yeah.
That Jewish croak.
But it is very sexy.
It is. If anybody is watching this and you have ever been in doubt of the loveliness of your nationality's descent, believe me, all of us somewhere love it. Don't ever change it.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Woo!
You know, if alternate realities exist, it's probably more where Brent doesn't exist than where Brent does exist, on account of the fact, the whole Nazi thing.
Oh no.
And
no, he wasn't in that area. He wasn't in that area. His descendants.
I just mean we should count ourselves lucky we exist in the universe where Brent exists.
Yes, we do.
Margaret Thatcher was for him.
where the Nazis didn't conquer America, or whatever it was.
Man in the high castle.
On the dark. Well, I mean, the one where they're on the dark side of the moon, I think, was not too bad either. But that was a comment.
Anyway, right. We are okay. We're done. We're done. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to my co-hosts Mazin with Bob, Tavigans Turner, and Chief Sean. Thank you to Little Monty for starting the show off for me. Thank you to everyone in live chat that came and joined us, including but not inclusive of Wookie, Stuplum, Smiler Rainbow, Mohammed, Andrew, Mickey, Karen, Ruth. I think that was about it.
Yeah, you said Wookie.
I think I've said
Stu,
it.
you said you didn't say Stu. I don't think.
Oh, Stu Plum. Yes, Stu Plum. Thank you all, you guys, for coming and joining us. Come join us next week for absolutely no datas. It's going to be an interesting thing. Can I?
Yeah, just skip it.
Can I make an episode of the Fistful of Datas, but make all the screenshots not of data?
I don't make me come to the UK to be violent.
Being that you try and put these pictures into the non-data episodes, then it would be the natural sort of
evolution of it to make a data episode.
Can I make
non-data.
all the questions about something else, and can Massa make all the trivia about something else? Completely just destroy it.
You guys are doing me
Just
so wrong.
Like a bully kicking down a sandcastle. Just go straight through it.
I would rip off my rank insignia and just walk off the screen, be like, "You guys suck."
All right.
And I would open my own live stream immediately next to this one and sing you the link. Fistful of Datas.
All right, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't do that. But anyway, join us next week at Wednesday, 8 o'clock UK time for another TNG review show. We love you all, and we'll see you then. Good night.